settled in for a Wednesday afternoon edition of Sportstime with Wolo and Stats. Got to get Dave settled in. He's getting locked and loaded. We've got a busy show for you this afternoon as September rolls on, but the July 4th and August heat rolls on as well. I don't know if I can remember a more steamy, prolonged September, but it will abate, and we will have more autumnal football weather coming up soon.
I promise you it'll become fall.
It will be,
I
Dave.
promise you. It will.
That global climate change will happen. It'll be fall.
I wish I hadn't brought that up. I read a big story today about why we have more hurricanes at the Category 5, and there's just no denying we have warmer.
It is warm.
We have a warmer
Categorically warmer
ocean, and that's why we are getting more intense storms.
It's categorically warmer.
And there's no way around it.
But also, record keeping so much better.
Sure.
I mean, I do think it is more than the 1880s, but how are we keeping these records?
Well,
in the
but I will tell
and
you,
even in the 1940s.
But honestly, you can go back to Irma. You can go back to other incredible hurricanes
Any involvement with anybody named Irma today. Don't drag me into that.
Within the last 10 or 15 years. It's not just happening now. There were Category.
But also, I remember Hurricane Camille in the late 60s, and it was devastating.
Sure.
More powerful than Katrina, not as damaging.
Well, this one that we just had, Dorian, that was 167 miles an hour.
Yeah, but the mother of all storms really lately was
Andrew?
Was it Sandy that hit Jersey?
You know, we've had so many, honestly, of late.
Really have gotten
that
hard to keep up with?
Yeah. There's
Superstorm, was it Superstorm Sandy?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I do remember Sandy that was devastating. There's no doubt about that. I am good. I was astounded last night. Astounded.
Hey, Dave, you don't astound easily.
I don't astound easily, but I was astounded. When I am flipping through, first off, I'm going so happy. Oh, the Cub game's on ESPN. I'm not going to miss it.
I enjoyed that announce team last night.
Yeah.
Ravitch,
David Ross.
And Kirkshin. I enjoyed that announce team.
They're good. They get along with each other. Nobody's got a huge ego, it seems.
Have you ever met Tim Kirkshin?
I love Kirkshin's deprecating humor. No, I'm not. I like his work quite a bit.
Fantastic guy. Born and reared in the College Park, Maryland area, as his dad was chair of the mathematics department at the University of Maryland. And that's why
he does so well with numbers.
And that's where he matriculated, and that's the proper use of it, Hank Stram. It has nothing to do with moving the ball up down the field. And then after his sophomore year, his dad, with a pretty big promotion, as he told me, became the chair of the mathematics department at Alabama. He stayed in school at Maryland, but would go home to his parents after those 2 years.
In Tuscaloosa.
And he said the Winn-Dixie in Tuscaloosa was kind of the hopping spot in Tuscaloosa in those days.
I'm sure.
And
is his father still alive?
No, but Tim Kirkshin, delightful guy.
I hear he's tiny.
Oh,
I hear he makes
we tower over him.
Yeah,
we're to him that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is to us.
Well, I heard once
like
the comparison.
5 foot.
The comparison was with Bob.
Costas. You don't have to put your hand that low to the ground.
Bob Costas, by the way, is my height.
Oh, and always an illustration of that every year is when Bob Costas would cover and interview the winning jock.
Sure.
At all the big races.
They could almost see eye to eye.
They were about the same size.
No, they were not. The jock's a little small.
Not much more.
A little smaller.
But Tim Kirkshin.
Then he would do the governor, and the governor, he had to put that hand way up in the air with that mic.
Well, again, the illustration. But Tim Kirkshin, delightful guy. And fun. And I asked him, I said, when your dad got to Alabama, that was in the Coach Bryant 70 glory years, one stretch of it. I said, big Alabama football fan? He goes, no, baseball. That's where I got it.
Huh. There wasn't that much coverage of baseball.
Very limited.
Back then.
I mean, it was just kind of a
collegiate baseball.
It was like a lot of places in the SEC in the 70s. Well, it was club sport.
I think the only one that really took it all that seriously was Mississippi State.
LSU.
LSU. Mississippi State, definitely.
I'll tell you a place that took it seriously in the 70s, long before a lot of the SEC big brands did, and you'll love this name, blast from the past. South Alabama did with manager
Eddie
Stanky. Eddie Stanky, very good, Dave.
He's a White Sox guy. What do you expect? Going to know those guys. So back to my
who had one day as manager of the Rangers in '77 and got buyer's remorse and said, "I'm getting back to Mobile to South Alabama." Was manager for one day.
Well, that was later in his career, right?
Yeah.
And he decided he didn't want to, I guess, make that commitment after he got there. I do remember that. No, so I checked on the Cubs, and that was bad right off the bat. Yu Darvish sort of resorted for a little bit in the early innings to his old self.
He was pretty good last night.
Well, he gave up the early runs.
A couple.
Yeah, we're talking about, we're in a pennant race now. It reminded me of the earlier Yu Darvish.
He did strike out 8 in a row at one point.
That was later, after he'd given up the runs. I get that. He gave up runs.
He did say he was astounded way back when in the story, remember?
Yes, well, this has nothing to do with that. I was happy that I could see the Cubs because the Cardinals were going to hog, actually it was the Braves were going to hog the spot that I was watching the night before. Of course, the Cardinals were on the other spot. So I got to see the Cubs. But when I was checking to see what was on, I went past 8:53 on Comcast in Memphis.
I'm DirecTV, Dave. I'm not familiar with 8s.
I'm just telling you, 8:53 is FS1. There I am on FS1 watching, and I really do like George Grand, who was not an original, but close to.
At ESPN?
At ESPN. He was
really?
like
I think
second.
he was original.
I don't think he was. I think he was second wave. But
Berman,
very close.
Tom Mees.
Berman, Tom Mees, Bob Lee, Gail Gardner.
He was close.
He was close. He was the next wave. There was one guy that ended up getting fired because he said something about the best view of
Bristol.
Bristol is in my rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Who was that guy? He still works a little
That's
bit.
a good line.
It was. Anyway, and there was nothing in Bristol at the time. It's a whole lot different now. But so it's George Grand and Jim Cott, and that's a great combo. They really are. They're really good. And they're doing this game, and then they pan out, and I'm going, what? How many people are there? And I'm going,
At AutoZone Park?
They must have moved everybody together for the shots, because every time there's a crowd shot, the place is packed. 9,100 plus on hand last night. Now, maybe
I feel worse now not going.
Maybe it was because there was free barbecue nachos. All you could eat if you came to the game. But think about it. 9,100 people for a ball game, other than the fans of those two teams, and I have no idea how many they brought. The majority had to be vastly Memphians. There's nothing they've got at stake here other than free nachos, and they all came. I mean, that is incredible.
It is. And what an announced team. I didn't know that was going to be the announced team, or I would have gone for no other reason to see Jim Cott, who I think should be in baseball's Hall of Fame.
I don't know his numbers offhand, but I'm probably not going to argue with you.
I'm going to guess.
He's a student of the game for sure.
We've gone through this before. I think we have, haven't we, Drew?
With Jim Cott?
Yeah. I'm going to guess 283 career wins for Jim Cott. Haven't we gone through that?
Yes, but
he's in the Tommy John era.
In an era, however, when we based Hall for
3
sure
plus.
On 300.
We did. That was the magic number.
I don't know what the number is now. I really don't.
George Grant,
if you're a starter.
George Grant on the first broadcast of SportsCenter in '79. He
was an
first
original
wave.
then. Okay.
And thank you, Drew. And Jim Cott, I think, called up as a 17-year-old, pitched 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and was a pretty good contributor in 1982 for the Cardinals and Whitey Herzog. Kind of we really didn't have middle relief guys like we do now, but he would accept that role. Sometimes the spot starter, the emergency starter. Somebody get shelled, send him out there hurt, send him out there because just a rubber arm could get loose in about 45 seconds. And I think just a terrific broadcaster. with Bob Costas on the baseball network, I love that duo.
Oh, Jim works with Costas.
That's their team. 283 for
283 wins. Yeah, he should get it.
Yeah,
And longevity. My
and I tell you
goodness.
what really,
how many years was that?
25.
I knew it was a long time.
And I want to say, how many Gold Gloves? 15, 16? I mean, he was Mr. Defensive Pitcher.
That's
Drew's counting high. You need to take your shoes off?
Man. Wait, he's in the game 25 years.
16.
16 of the 25 years he was the Gold Glover for pitching. Wow. I knew he was a good defensive.
And
he was cat-like quick.
Bob Costas, with his class personified, is always with him in his Hall of Fame speech. He went through all the people in his broadcast, when he got in Cooperstown in the broadcast wing, all the people through the years that he had worked with, and he went through Hall of Famers like John Smoltz and Joe Morgan and many other, Tim McCarver, who's in the broadcast wing, and he said, "And my current partner, Jim Cott, should be in here either as a player or as a broadcaster." And that's when I thought, was he that good? And I went and looked at his wins and went, oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was integral to the
283 wins
to the Twins' 65 AL run.
Just 25 years. What are the losses? How many games did he pitch?
And innings pitched, because you're marathon men.
Yeah.
If you're getting shelled, eat it. Good luck.
What do we got there?
Innings wise, he pitched 4,530 and a third, average 202 a season.
I don't have any idea where that would rank. I mean, because let's go back to Walter Johnson and Cy Young. I have no idea, because they would pitch every other day. But I can bet you this: there will never be a starter with 4,000 innings ever again.
Management control wouldn't allow it.
That is just incredible.
They'd be wanting to save on the back end. No, they wouldn't dare let you, even if you wanted to.
All right, how many games?
Pitched in 898 games, started 625.
Man.
And I didn't find, I kind of forgot about the game last night, and I'm sorry I couldn't go. But way to go, Memphis. Way to go, Redbirds. Way to go, 3rd and Union. Good show.
Yeah. I mentioned it yesterday. I think Freund and Unger, what a good job they're doing to get more and more action at as you say, 4th and Union.
3rd and Union.
3rd and Union? Well, actually, and it's kind of touches, I guess it is just 3rd, isn't it? Anyway, bottom line, really, really brilliant night for Memphis to have that many people. And by the way, the ballpark with that new surface looked outstanding. They had aerial shots and everything else. It was very nice. Well done by FS1.
Got a final for the parent club of the Memphis Redbirds. 5-1.
It's already over? They won again?
Over Washington. Adam Wainwright.
Man. They have taken 2 out of 3 from the Nationals.
Beat Strasburg and Scherzer.
And beat Strasburg and Scherzer. Wow.
13th win for Adam Wainwright. Oh, they don't matter anymore, do they? If you'd told me on opening day Adam Wainwright's going to have 13 wins this year, I would have lost a considerable wager on that.
Mm-hmm. No?
Even if they don't matter anymore.
I think ERA is their biggest number now.
3.83 ERA.
That's terrific.
Now they love the war.
Did you see what
kids these days love?
What your guy Flaherty's numbers are?
He's
the last
going tomorrow.
month or two, it's like 1.1 or 1.2.
You want you a pitching matchup tomorrow in Chicago? Oh, now to be determined by the Cubs. Most of the day today has been Flaherty against Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it probably still will be. You'll get your money's worth tomorrow at Wrigley. That'll be fun tomorrow night, 6:15. That's national on Fox. Up against the football.
Wow.
With the Fox announcing team doing the game on NFL Network with Joe and Troy.
Right. Who's doing that game? Must be Tom Brenneman, who's been in Chicago with Cincinnati.
Flaherty tomorrow night for the Cubs, or for the Cardinals. On Friday, Waka. Saturday, Dakota Hudson. And Sunday, Miles Michaelis.
Big series.
Old crafty Joe Madden going with to be determined now.
So now we're 2.5 out at the moment.
Magic number 9. That means nothing.
Lester goes tonight. Let's just hope it's still 2 when they square off at Wrigley.
1-1 Rockies Mets mid-fourth. Royals A's just getting started, bottom of the second. D-backs 3-2 over the Marlins. Everything else under the lights.
All right.
This portion of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. They promise it will get cooler sales event. Great offers on all 2019 models and the 2020s they're rolling in, and always special lease options at Lexus of Memphis. Drive luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of one of those new 2020s or the 2019 flagship LS500s, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, that goes back to what we've already said. Over 9,000 showing up at AutoZone Park last night for that AAA title game. So the other part of this is Sacramento won. And so the PCL has knocked off the International League a couple of years in a row. 4-0 was your final. Peter Maris, by the way, no relation to Roger Maris, hit a home run in that game, but there was a big-name grandson who hit a home run last night in Fenway Park. Mike Yastrzemski, Carl's grandson. You realize Carl is now 80 years old. 80. There was a nice picture of them walking together
Wasn't that a
in
nice
the outfield,
picture?
and Carl was showing the young Yaz how you play the outfield and the big green monster.
Well, he knew how in left field, didn't he?
No question. And Bruce Bochy was really good. He made sure that he got Mike to start in that game and put him in left field where his grandfather roamed for 23 years. That's another amazing thing.
Triple Crown winner in 67.
Yeah. What a year 67 was.
The first time.
And he actually said to somebody, I think it was on Nesson, because Yastrzemski wasn't going to give very many interviews, and he doesn't come to the ballpark very much at all. But he did say that this was sort of the feel that he had in 67. That's how much it meant to him to see his grandson get to do this. Now, his grandson, by the way, is not like one of these guys who's gifted and had
he's 29.
all of Carl's.
He's a late bloomer.
I know. He's been 7 years in the minor leagues.
Played at Vandy. His dad played at FSU. His dad played in the old Metro days against Tim Doolin. You were away one day, and Tim and I talked about that.
Well, I think that is a terrific story. The kid
really
hits
is.
a home run in that game, his 20th home run this year, and he does it where his dad, or his grandpa, excuse me,
Is a god.
Is a god.
In-
And he should
in
be
Boston.
a god. Well, he should be a god. He was incredible.
It was the first time a Yastrzemski had hit a home run at Fenway Park since July 31st, 1983.
Yeah. That's good.
How about that for the box
That's good.
score?
That is good.
And you know what? I guarantee you the grandson will have both of those framed by each other. The last for the granddad and the first one for him.
I'm sure. No question.
That was good stuff. My top story, baseball, Billy Beane. You know him as Brad Pitt in the movies, the Moneyball movie. They've done it again in Oakland 2 years in a row. Usually they don't string a lot together. It's kind of all or nothing and high or low with them. But 2 years in a row, Bob Melvin, the manager of the A's, navigated the A's to playoff contention with a bunch of nobodies. I'm telling you, you go through that roster and be honest. Did you really know? Have you really ever heard of these names like Matt Olson, Liam Hendricks, Marcus Simeon, Seth Brown? That all sounds like guys that are on like the Nashville breakout shows and singing, doesn't it? The Seth Brown band. That's act, isn't it?
I think we
It's
were
the Zach Brown band. But
Oh,
close
it's
enough.
close
Yeah.
enough.
when we were doing this show in another time slot. We debated Billy Beane, and Billy Beane has not won a title.
We debated Billy Beane's Hall of Fame status.
The truth for me is this guy does more with less than anybody ever has in baseball.
And I think my side of the debate was if he ever won a World Series, he's in. But until then,
he's going to have
they've
a
never
better
won a
budget
series.
and a newer ballpark and a whole lot of other stuff.
Never mind a World Series. He's never won in the postseason.
Right. They never won Not one playoff series with him?
Not under the Billy Bean team.
I don't see him winning one this year either. I really don't. But nonetheless, it's pretty darn good that they, again, have made it with nothing.
Not top story of the day.
A couple of things here. One, Eli Manning has spoken. He did it in a classy way, but he goes, "No, I'm not moving. I don't want to go. I will not waive my no-trade clause. I accept my new role. I will support Daniel Jones. I'm a team guy, but I'm not going." And it could very well be. He's got 4 kids that are in school right now, and he doesn't want to move them.
And 7-month-olds in school.
And he does not want to. Well, he's got 3 kids in school?
3 girls, and finally a baby son.
Okay, so the 3, how old are they?
Guess what color that baby son's hair is? Red.
Is it really?
I saw a picture of him last weekend.
So, bottom line is, he doesn't want to move them, and he doesn't want to move without them.
No,
he's not moving.
Some crazy things can happen in football. I wish Daniel Jones well. I really do. And
Are you still a Giants fan now?
I am, and I hope he has a long career. But he could get hurt this week. He could be ineffective the next 2 weeks and have to go back. That's a doomsday scenario to have to go back to Eli because he's largely ineffective. That's a nightmare scenario. And they don't want him hurt either. To ever have to go back to Eli as the starter, the Giants don't want to.
No, but they will. And they're not going to. Obviously, if they didn't get something in a move with him, he's there. He definitely will play if there's an injury.
My not top story of the day is good luck to Daniel Jones. Welcome to the pressure of New York. And I mean it when I say I hope he does well. But I'll take all the bets out there. All the bets out there. I'll be Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy at the end of Trading Places. Come one, come all. I'll buy all the orange juice futures you want. Bet he doesn't win 2 over the next 12. That's what Eli Manning just did.
I wouldn't take that bet. I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure. What did I say yesterday? He had 522 yards in the 2 games. I would be surprised if he. So what is that? That is 260 something per game.
In fact,
if he averages that, I'll be surprised. Because guess what? They don't have Eli anymore. They still got the same offensive line.
And they do have Saquon Barkley, so they want to start building for the future. But I don't think Pat Shurmur and Dave Gettleman preside over a championship there. Heck, the Giants hired Pat Shurmur after he got fired in Cleveland.
I got a mini high hard one for you right now. You ready?
I'll give you a mini answer, Dave.
Okay, very good. Is there any NFL team you don't like? Because this is your team and that is your team and now it's the Cowboys.
Dave, I told you that's my problem. I just really I like the Titans. I'm pulling hard for Arthur Smith. Pulling hard.
And he's done a heck of a job.
I think he has. I mean, I like a lot of different teams. There's really not one I despise. I don't have I don't, because I've just really never had a team.
Well, you can't be on the Bears bandwagon if you don't dislike the Green Bay Packers.
I like the Packers. Love their uniforms.
See? You're off.
But I got
There's no room for you.
It's the Cowboys, and you know that.
No, it's not.
Drew, you know that too.
No, it's not.
It's my Cowboys.
No, it's not.
Sure, Jack.
Did you ever find that tape?
Doesn't exist, Dave, because it was never said. I'm going to say now it wasn't said.
I still have to go through like another 2 hours of Friday show because I can't remember exactly when he said it.
You better find it.
I can tell you exactly when it was said.
When was it said?
The Friday of the Memphis Ole Miss week, I think. That Friday the 30th.
He can tell you.
I've been looking at the wrong date. I thought it was September 6th.
No.
Find it. Find that puppy. We got to take a break.
It's why I love people at text line or an email to me. I really can remember everything I've said on the show. I really can. Because I've been reminded so often, you said such a, never said it.
I know you said this one. I know you said this one.
I did say it, but I jumped the fence, Dave.
No.
You're
such a negotiator. First off, you're so absolute positive Alabama's going to win the first 5 games by 40. And then, did we already play?
No, we did not. No, we did not. I merely
then he goes down to 38.
I merely asked. And y'all agreed.
Well,
What's 2 points among friends?
It's
Come on.
2 on
Exactly.
1 every time in here. We got to take a break.
Back in like those world golf rings.
To Tampa we go. TJ Reeves is
They
next
played the Giants this week.
on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find real sports talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
Family Leisure has the world's biggest spa sale going on now. Over 50 spas in stock and ready to sell. $8,000 spas now just $44.99. 4-person spas starting at $24.99. Swim spas from $89.99. Huge discounts on all spas. Get the lowest prices of the year with special financing available. It's the world's biggest spa sale happening now at Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops this year with the new 2019 fall arrivals. Introducing the strikingly new T-Series irons from Titleist, featuring the T100 iron designed as a player's iron, the T200 iron, a player's distance iron, and the T300 iron, the complete game improvement iron. All pure Titleist. Let us help you find the right set and get custom fit today. Just a few of the new releases you'll find at Edwin Watts Golf Shops over the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
Get your gun, Nelly, and saddle up Penelope. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Buick GMC. Old-time trading prices on over 700 new Buicks and GMC trucks, and the Sunrise Used Car Corral has over 500 in stock. Ranch managers have been told to cut prices to the bone, and remember, you can bring your car to Sunrise Service no matter where you bought it. If you're a good person with bad credit, SunriseMemphis.com will help you put one of your brand on these little fillies. Free hot dogs and Cokes at the Chuck Wagon Western Trading Days. Going on now at all 3 Sunrise locations. We make it fun to buy a car again.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the Build Your Own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Nosbury.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our first hour on this Wednesday. We never give the whole lineup, did I? We've got TJ Reeves coming up here momentarily. Patrick Garvin, who is the going to talk about Georgia and Notre Dame with us. Then Joe
Biggest
Starkey.
game ever.
Is it the biggest game in Georgia? That's the first question I'm going to ask him. And then the voice of Cal, the voice of the cut you've probably watched a million times, the band play at Cal, the voice of Cal, Joe Starkey will be with us. Chris Raby, who will be in a good mood after the Cardinals win again today at 5:30. And then we will do a little bit of crunch time. In the meantime, to Tampa we go. And I must confess, I always, when I'm watching a Bucs game, I always scan the sidelines to see if I can see my man. And
Always.
you got a bunch of airtime. You were wearing a big red thing, right? Were you wearing red pants? You were wearing, I know you were wearing a red shirt.
I was wearing a red shirt, usually khaki pants.
Yeah.
Which usually most of the coaches wear khaki pants. And when people were trying to identify me, I just say I'm the guy in the khaki pants.
Well,
you were able to
I
find
find
me,
you every time, TJ.
I saw you. That was a heck of a football game, really. That Monday night game.
Well,
Or
you got to give
Thursday.
back last Thursday now, but you got to give Bucks credit. Go on the road, get a win like that. We don't know how hurt Cam Newton is or is not, but we said this a week ago. What a difference a week makes, because the Saints have that dramatic win a week ago Monday night. Now Drew Brees' thumb is hurt, and their whole season's up in the air after the loss in L.A. So, with the exception of the Patriots that seem to be the model of consistency, you don't know what to expect really from one year to the next in the NFL. But that was certainly a much-needed win for the Bucs. The defense played well, and now, do we have a little bit of a storyline with the Giants coming to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers? Yeah. I think we do.
We took it to break, teasing that you will be covering the Daniel Jones debut, and look, it was time, TJ, wasn't it?
Well, I think the Giants believe that, but there's a couple of layers to this. The legacy of Eli Manning, which we've talked about here on this show before. Does this mean that he's gone for good and they're not playing him anymore if Jones begins to struggle? Does this mean that they're going to deal Eli Manning to another team, which they're obviously saying?
No, we can clarify that for you right now. Story's already out. He has opted not to waive his no-trade clause. So he said, I will accept this role. I will support Daniel Jones. I'm not going anywhere.
Even if the Pittsburgh Steelers, who don't have Ben Roethlisberger for the rest of the year.
They got Paxton Lynch now, buddy.
Wolo. I'm a Memphis guy. You call the Memphis games. Eli Manning, even at 38, or Paxton Lynch. What are you taking if you're Pittsburgh?
And
the thing is,
I'm
the
clearly
Steelers traded
taking
away their
Eli
number
Manning.
one pick for the Dolphins DB Minka Fitzpatrick, so they don't have a number one pick for next year. I'm not saying I have this on any authority, but is he really going to stand and watch if the Giants stink?
Here's your wild what if the right or wrong guy got hurt. I even threw out yesterday, what if? I don't want it to happen. I don't want anybody hurt. It kills me to see the stretcher come out there. But what if Tom Brady went down and the guy that got him twice, Eli Manning, was the rest of the year guy? But here's an even better one. What if Phillip Rivers got hurt and the Chargers needed that guy to shepherd them maybe into an AFC championship game, the place he rebuffed coming out of college? It was San Diego, but it was the same franchise. Eli back finally full circle as a Charger.
Well,
I don't know that one
I don't either,
ever happened
how
because
about
of all the problems that went on before.
Yeah.
And in particular, Rivers and Manning were obviously traded for each other. I still remember that
Exactly.
15-year-old draft day story where Rivers is sitting there and had no idea that he was part of the trade. He was sitting there live on ESPN. He said, "Nobody's called me." When the Giants took him, San Diego took Eli, the Giants took Rivers, and Rivers goes, "Nobody's knew he was getting dealt to the Chargers. I just wonder about whether or not, if Daniel Jones is not good and they drop hypothetically to 0-4, or they're 1-5 or 1-6, do you not have to turn back to Eli and try to win a game or two?
Isn't that
or do
doomsday,
you just
though?
send it off?
I would say this. I would say if he is a disaster, they will turn back to Eli. I clearly think that they will do that, but it would have to be a total disaster. Otherwise,
don't you think they give Eli the ceremonial last home game start?
They might do that if they know he's definitely going to retire next year, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that they would do that. Hold on. There's one other report out there. Since we're speaking of quarterbacks in your scenarios, Colin Kaepernick's agent has reached out to the Steelers, the Jets, and the Saints. So far, no interest.
In the least shocking report of the afternoon on that one. So, look, for Eli, too, you talk about his legacy, and we've debated this on the show before. Is he a Hall of Famer? I see they're debating that on ESPN right now. Of course, they have to debate something all the time, every day.
Well,
they're debating about his Hall of Fame status. I believe he's in. I believe he's in on the basis of those 2 Super Bowl wins. Some would say that as the last 2 or 3 years have worn on, that there's now some question marks about body of work and Hall of Fame career. But I don't think you can take yourself out of the Hall of Fame if you're still playing at 37, 38, and the team around you is bad, which the Giants have had bad personnel, with the exception really of Odell Beckham for the last 2 or 3 years. Saquon Barkley drafted last year. They don't have a lot of great help around Eli Manning and have not.
No, Jerry Rice did an abominable job.
Yeah, and look, he's never been the quarterback of put it all on my shoulders and I'm going to throw for 400 yards like what Dan Marino seemed to be in the 80s and the 90s, no matter how horrible the Dolphin defense or run game was. Or Brett Favre was kind of the same way with the Packers.
All right,
guys.
TJ,
It's
you say he's in. Do you think it's first year, second year of eligibility? How quickly in?
That's a great question. When we debate this, 6 years, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, whenever he retires, will he get? And it would also, I guess, be predicated on who else is on the ballot at the quarterback position. When you
I think
about
that's
it.
very fair. Yeah. We had this discussion yesterday. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 56,000 yards of passing, was 300-something touchdowns. He did throw
361.
a lot of interceptions, and the other negative could be, well, he was barely above 500 overall all those years. But
he's at 500 right now.
Yeah.
Right this second.
So the bottom line, though, is those last couple of years with no offensive line should not be what hurts you. And so I think the body of work was already in there. I think he's in.
But that should have been years after that second Super Bowl. It was so wasted from Jerry Reese. That should have been years more than just adding to the back of the football card like he did. That should have been at least one more go for it year. And they weren't even close. The last playoff game he played in was the Super Bowl win over the Patriots in Indianapolis.
How about that? And you're now going on 7 seasons ago.
Yeah, time marched on, didn't it?
Look, the reality is that oftentimes we remember what you did last. And look, there are other quarterbacks. Joe Namath at the end of his career was meandering everywhere, but he's basically in the Hall of Fame because of the iconic guaranteed Super Bowl win.
No doubt.
Those Manning Super Bowl wins, especially the first one beating the 18-0 Patriots, that is iconic. And to win all of those playoff games that season in the postseason on the road, including winning an overtime game in frozen Green Bay where it was like minus 15 degrees.
Too cold for the Winter Olympics in Green Bay that day.
Right. I mean, you can't dismiss those things even though they were 10 years ago as part of his resume, or 11 or 12 years ago as part of his resume.
I think he should be in, but I hear the argument on Namath all the time. Namath gets in because Namath gave credibility to an entire merger of the two
Because he was
leagues.
Broadway Joe.
Because he bragged and then
white
went out
shoes and backed it up.
And beat what was a super team, an unbelievable great team that was going to beat him. That was going to beat him by 3 touchdowns.
Guaranteed they'd be.
And he guaranteed he'd be. And he did it. And he gave absolute credibility to the entire AFL, which up until then everybody thought was clearly inferior.
Maybe one, but I don't know if Joe Willie maybe won after that, but I don't know if he won many more than one more playoff game after that famous one and ended up career under 500 in New York, and then that ugly half year with the Rams when he couldn't even run wind sprints to stay in shape. And they had him swim.
It's hard to watch him now. Seriously, he's so beaten up.
Move.
I watched a little thing on Peyton's Place, and it's a really good interview. But when he's like trying to play pool, and he's shrunk a whole
he's 75.
bunch. He's 75.
The bone density is amazing. He's no bigger than I am. I've been lucky enough a couple of times to be around him and love him. I would push somebody down to get over to him. I love being around Joe Namath that much. But he's not as big as I am.
No, he's tiny.
And he used to be a big man.
Over. Yeah. Game was hard.
He was Joe Cool though. He was Joe Willie, and I think that's the point. And plus, you're talking about New York, and I remember we talked about this at one point. And Brett, you may have even been on the show when we did debate this, and you put it to me that hey, if Eli walks into a New York restaurant, or if Eli walks past everybody on a Manhattan street, does it turn the heads the same way that when Derek Jeter walks by, walks in that restaurant, or walks by? And I said to you that the Giants and those Super Bowl wins every bit as big as the Yankees. It's certainly the Yankees own that market first and foremost. But the Giants are right there with them with all the Super Bowl wins, and Manning, you have to include him in that story.
Yeah, and two parades in the Canyon of Heroes for him with those teams. It's the ultimate team game. You have to have it all. I said yesterday, TJ, I'm not so sure that Eli might not have been better served to be that quarterback in the 70s, the I formation, tailback tight end, huddle, hand it off, ride your defense, and just kind of win with your head a little bit instead of playing in this slinging it around everywhere era.
And that's true, too.
He won
and,
2 Super Bowls
really,
in that era. How many others can say that? I think he did okay in that passing era.
You really, and again, you said 50,000 yards. When you start
56.
contemplating how many 3,500 or 4,000 yard seasons that is, that's pretty staggering.
But it's the times too, though. I mean, there are guys just kind of sneezing and getting to 30, 35, and 40,000.
You are correct, and we're going to look at this 10 years from now. To your point about Hall of Fame votes, and look at the stats of everybody at that point compared to what. I mean, you look now.
One more playoff
at what
game.
the stats were for the guys from the 70s and the 80s as quarterbacks. Go back and look at Troy Aikman, or go back and look at Dan Marino. And Marino is probably the outlier; it's probably a bad example. But you go back and look at quarterbacks in the 80s and the early 90s. And it's nowhere close to what it is now because it's become such a pass-happy league. And Eli was kind of at the tail end of what you talked about, I formation, running the ball a bunch, people actually taking running backs in the first or second round and giving them the ball 25 times a game, the things that don't happen anymore in the present-day NFL. But, look, give credit to him. He handled himself with class a couple of years ago when they benched him and ended his starting streak where he had started, 110 games in a row or 125 games in a row, and they benched him basically for no reason at the end of the year because Ben McAdoo was clashing with him privately, and McAdoo was fired shortly after that.
That was the end of McAdoo.
He lost.
Exactly. He lost that battle.
TJ Baseball, the Rays are kind of in a 3-for-2 spot. We had a texter at 67129 at the First Bank text line. You could ask the same question about the American League. He asked, what will MLB do if the Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, Nationals finish the season with the same record, the same applicable to the American League? Do you know how they sort that out? Please tell me it's all on the field and it's not some tiebreaker in standings.
Yeah, I don't know all of the machinations and all the tiebreakers. It does have something to do, I think, with head-to-head or the group. We'd have to look at that.
Time out for 1 second. 1 second. Automatically, the Nationals are a wild card team because they're not in this equation because they're not in that same division. The 3 teams, I'm just guessing when I say this, but the 3 teams that are in the same division have to sort that out. We know that the Nationals...
We've got to declare a winner.
The Nationals finished behind the Atlanta Braves. They're a wild card team. That's it.
So we got to declare a winner in the NL Central before we get to the two wild cards.
I believe, wait a minute. I believe for a division, in this case, they may play 2 play-in wild card games back-to-back, and you may be delaying the start of series play.
I hope we get
because
that.
second and third may play, and then first is waiting for the winner on the next night.
More baseball. I want that.
Again, I'm going off the top of my head. You may have it in front of
you. Want that
you
over your Cardinals winning straight up?
Well, I might.
I don't want that for my Cubs. I'll tell you that right now.
I want more baseball with more drama at play, more anybody that's breathing, you're subject to going in the game that day. Any starting pitcher, anybody, be ready to play.
Whew.
Well, and I'll give you a reference point, too. It was the 2013 Rays wild card season, and it may come down to this on the final Saturday and Sunday. The Rays won a road game at Toronto to put them into the tiebreaker game that we're talking about for the wild card, where I believe I have the order correct. I believe they had to fly to Cleveland for the wild card tiebreaker, and they defeated Cleveland. How wild is that? That Cleveland's in the equation again on the Monday, and then had to fly to Texas to play the Rangers in the one-game wild card playoff because there's 2 wild card teams. So the Rangers stayed out of the 3-way tie and awaited the winner, and the Rays beat them too. It's still one of the more remarkable 72-hour stretches that you could find where you won 3 games in 3 different road locations, none of them at home, to keep yourself alive in winner-take-all moments. So, look, baseball wanted this manufactured drama with the one-game wild card and with the tiebreakers and stuff, and they may be about to get it again with some mayhem here in the next couple of weeks. I'm concerned here for the Rays that they still have a couple of difficult series, including with the Yankees, who are trying to lock up home field advantage for the postseason to try to just get into that wild card mix.
All I know is the wild card was the best thing baseball did.
It's worked.
I don't think it's manufactured. I think you've now made 4 or 5 cities intense on baseball where you'd have nobody in the ballpark and nobody would care.
They would have.
I think it's brilliant.
TJ, do you think the Rays punch a ticket? Do you think they're in some type of postseason?
They'll be in a tiebreaker game. If I had to guess, because their last series is in Toronto, who's going to be completely out of it. Their second to last home series, which is this weekend, is the Red Sox, who are completely out of it. And there's an argument, well, would the Red Sox try to eliminate the Rays, blah, blah, blah. But so I believe they're going to hang around a 93rd, maybe a 94th win and be in the mix for one of these mayhem tiebreakers, particularly if they have a chance to win the Saturday or Sunday game and get into that one-game playoff mayhem on Monday or Tuesday. Look out. They've had some magic this year with that. So we will see how that part plays out coming up for the end of the baseball season. There's definite interest down here, and they're already talking about scenarios for the one-game playoff and the one-game playoff ticket sales and that kind of thing. So there's definitely interest to your point about that.
Are they, by the way, are they moving to Tampa? Is that deal done?
No, it is not done. It is a mess. It's nowhere. I mean, that's the thing that the owners do. We'll have to spend 15 minutes now talking about it. We don't have to.
Don't do that.
That Stu Sternberg, the owner, wants to try to split things between Tampa and Montreal. I can't say it with a straight voice.
I remember that. That's
not really realistic, but the stadium lease is still in St. Pete for the next 5-6 years, and so for right now, that's where it's going to be unless something else gets worked out.
He's our man, TJ Reeves. Have a great call this weekend, and
be safe on that sideline.
We will, we're big. Move out of the way.
Duck.
You're not.
We will see what happens with the Bucs and the Giants, and whether or not Eli gets in this game or not, or what happens with him in the future. It will not be dull. You boys be well.
Thank you, TJ Reeves, our friend down in Tampa. This portion of the show is brought to you by Family Leisure, where that spa sale is still going on. It's going to go on, I think, through the rest of this month. Over 50 spas in stock. Now, it'll end if they sell all of them. They probably will with these prices. It is, as they tell me, the lowest prices all year long on spas. And they're pretty true to their word on these kinds of things. Huge discounts. Like an $8,000 spa almost in half. $44.99. A 4-person spa starts at $24.99. And those big swim spas, so cool, under $9,000. And here's the other really nice little sweetener for this thing. Special financing is available. You just have to get to I-40 and Wooden Road. You go to the north and then look to the east about a half mile down. There you'll see 70,000 square feet of family, of fun, and this spa sale all happening at Family Leisure. We take the break. When we come back, we will put a little bit of a wrap on this first hour of the Wednesday edition of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Redmat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
When you're well-dressed, people say,
"Nice suit."
When you're best dressed, they say,
"Nice suit."
The JCPenney Men's Best Dressed event ends this week. Don't miss 50% off men's select suit separates, sport coats, and dress pants from Collection by Michael Strahan, Stafford, and JFJ Farrar. And for big and tall guys, shop Shaquille O'Neal XLG and more. Plus, get an extra $10 off your $25 purchase with coupon. JCPenney. Offers valid 9/19 to 9/22. Exclusions apply. See store at jcp.com for details.
The Vergas family, legendary Memphis restaurateur, starting with Mr. Charlie and continuing today with his grandchildren.
Brett, it just dawned on me the other day that while Memphis is celebrating its bicentennial, the Rendezvous has been here well over one-third of Memphis's existence. Someone asked me if we remember the day the Rendezvous started, and I tell them no, because if we thought it was going to last this long, we'd have kept much better records. But we're not a place to rest on our laurels or reputation. We're always trying to add new things to make our customers' experience more enjoyable. Friday lunches have always been special because we give away our red beans and rice. We are now adding a sausage sandwich. It's the same sausage we serve on our cheese and sausage plate, but it will be served lengthwise on the bun with beans and slaw on the side. We've also partnered with a company called Devillet out of Dyersburg to introduce a new sweet glazed mustard with Rendezvous seasoning in it. It will really go great with a sandwich. I still recommend adding slaw. My grandfather had a hot dog stand on Beale Street in 1916, and we've come full circle using his slaw on our hot dogs. Hope to see you this Friday at the Rendezvous.
In the alley in downtown Memphis.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Voloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Closing out hour number one. We'll talk a little Notre Dame football in Georgia. And then Cal will be in Oxford Saturday morning. We'll talk to the voice of Cal, Joe Starkey, in a little bit. All still to come in hour number two of the program. I mentioned Yastrzemski last night and the great crowd at AutoZone Park. One of the really kind of cool baseball thing that happened last night. You only get this with baseball. This is why I love baseball. But last night, Kevin Biggio hit for the cycle. He and his father, Craig, now a father-son duo, hit for the cycle. But they're not the first. They're the second.
I would have never. I saw this. I would have never guessed it. And one half of that cycle coming up was against the Cardinals.
It was. It was Gary Ward who did it in 1980, but I think it was Darrell Ward in 2004. Yeah. Pittsburgh Pirates against the Cardinals. He hit for the cycle.
Have you ever
two father sons?
Have you ever been in the ballpark for a cycle?
No.
I did. Not the most flattering story about myself, though. So I'm in Busch Stadium. 89.
Was it a Cardinal that did it?
No. An Arkansan, though. Kevin McReynolds does it for the Mets.
Yeah. You booed him?
No.
What?
Didn't really know he did it till the next morning when I read it in the PD.
You really didn't? Well, you know what? I think
in the ballpark.
What year? That was in 89?
Yeah.
In a ballpark now, it would be all over the Jumbotron.
Well,
you would absolutely know exactly what he's done.
But also, there was no seventh inning cutoff then either. That was largely a contributing factor. And it was really aggravating the next day. I mean, I'm going, you got to be kidding me.
You saw history, and I didn't even know it.
Didn't even know it.
Man. That's before they cut you off after 7. Didn't you weren't keeping score?
No.
You keep score now, don't you?
No, not anymore. I did for a long time. No. No, because
I used to do it all the time.
I did. But
I mean, if I'm doing a game on television, radio,
sure, but I don't now because I want to see sights and sound. I don't want to be that locked in now. I want to be able to check everything else around the park. But Kevin McReynolds hits for the cycle for the Mets in '89. I read it the next day in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
You know, I think the cycle happens more often than we realize.
No, it's very rare, and you try to catch one sequential, and John Mabry had one for the Cardinals.
I thought Schwarber might get one last night because he had a double his first at bat.
I thought he might knock the cover off the ball.
A triple his second at bat.
Where was Joey Votto going on the base running snafu late in the game when he just kind of
I don't know.
No moss coming home.
I missed that. I was going around.
I like the Reds pieces for the future.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Sonny Gray was outstanding yesterday. I mean, you Darvish wasn't terrible. I was a little hard on him because he gave up those
little
early
bit,
runs.
Dave, just a little.
Yeah.
The wild card races are going to be fun. Washington right now, they're a one game in the loss column, one ahead of the Cubs. They've already gone out and lost today. Cubs go tonight.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, because that's right. They won last night, and Chicago lost.
Milwaukee won back. Philadelphia, for the second one, 3 back. Is it over?
I think Philly's done. I think it's
Mets done.
I said yesterday, it's 3 teams for 1 spot.
American League, Oakland today would be in 2 clear in the loss column of Tampa and Cleveland. It's over for the Red Sox, right?
Oh, absolutely. pronounced them dead a long time ago.
I want Tampa Bay in there with that number 30th in payroll.
I love it
in baseball.
Well, look at this. You got Tampa and Oakland in there.
Let me see what Oakland's
Where's Oakland's? Oakland's got a.
I bet it's not anything real lusty.
If
I'm gonna bet something in the 20s, let me look.
I'm gonna say it could be 30 and 29. Wouldn't that be something?
You think Oakland's that bad in payroll?
I think it's down there. And look at the ballpark. They don't
25.
25.
25.
Close enough.
Miami 29. Baltimore 28. Drew.
Well, Miami's down to 29 because everybody that we're paying, Derek Jeter jettisoned them.
Hey, would you have guessed this? Opening day payroll for the Atlanta Braves. I would have never gotten this right. 21. They've
Really?
maxed out. Of course, they got everybody team control.
They got everybody young.
Yeah.
That's the whole key. Young.
Milwaukee 16, Houston 8, Cubs 2, just spending that money. 210.
Yankees are 1 and Cubs are 2.
Boston 1, Cubs 2, Yankees 3, Dodgers 4. Dodgers roughing it on $197 million.
Boston paid all that money, didn't make the playoffs.
Orlando, St. Louis.
Same thing could happen for the Cubs.
Trying to make do on $163 million.
What is that? Where does that rank?
6th. 6th, Dave. I mean, you're up there at 2.
Hey, 6 is pretty darn good.
Profligate spending.
For a small market, that's pretty darn good.
And it's tough.
We take the break. We're back in a minute. Hour number 2
baseball,
is Sports Time right around the corner.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%, APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Your Memphis Tigers football team returns home to Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium for a nationally televised clash with rival Navy. Thursday, September 26th at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale at GoTigersGo.com. So bring out the whole family as we celebrate Veteran and Military Appreciation Night as part of this important AAC game. The Tigers look to defend the AAC West Division, but we need you in the stands to provide a great home field advantage. Memphis versus Navy, Thursday, September 26th. Sponsored by KTG USA.
Happy anniversary.
We've only been married 2 months.
No, this is the 1-year anniversary of our first date right here at Sweetgrass.
It's been a year?
Yep. 1 year ago tonight, we had our first date here at Sweetgrass, and tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of our second date, which was also right here at Sweetgrass.
Well, we've had a lot of special occasions here at Sweetgrass.
Pretty much all of them, and why not? There's no better place in Memphis to celebrate a special moment than here at Sweetgrass. Perfect food, perfect drinks, perfect bar.
Perfect oysters, perfect location in Cooper Young.
So, here's to another special moment at Sweetgrass.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Alexa or Google to play Sports 56. If it's happening in the world of sports, we've got it covered. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Cruising through Wednesday. I do hear they're going to say it's going to get a little bit nicer for the football weekend.
I'll take it.
Because it's hot now. I think it's 97 degrees.
And you know, hot doesn't bother me, but last Saturday, all day for the Southeast Louisiana game, the weather whooped me down.
Well, you're getting a little older, too. Just to let you know.
You know, last Saturday, speaking of that, I told you this story last night when we were leaving here last night. A friend of mine nicely asked me, hey, have you turned 60 yet? I went, no. Give me 3 more
There's
years.
Nothing wrong with turning 60.
And then I'm walking into the stadium, and a guy I know, says, hey, Brett, man, you sure do look old. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Keep the cards and letters coming.
Patrick Garvin from Rivals is going to join us here in a second. Let me tell you about Miramichi. Well, I think you know by now, the #1 public golf course in the state of Tennessee, and it's been that way for a couple of years now, and they just keep putting more and more in. Now's it will be the perfect time when fall arrives, right? You still have plenty of plush, wonderful fairway. And by the way, the new agronomy tools they have, these new aerators, not just for greens, but for the compacted fairways, every Monday they do another hole. I mean, it's amazing. The maintenance that goes in there, they knocked all those trees down. Everything will be ideal here in just a little bit. I think we're all short a little bit of water. I don't think there's any question about that with these golf courses. We haven't had rain now in 22 days. But nonetheless, Miramichi still looks terrific. And it's not far. You know it's in Woodstock. It's not in Millington. Woodstock, that little historic town that's halfway between Memphis and Millington. 27 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis, about 12 to 15 minutes, depending on where you live downtown, easy to get to. And so beautiful, you'll really be glad you took the challenge, and you'll love the natural scene. Oh, I'm telling you, the back nine, you see streams and waterfalls, and you're challenged. It's a terrific golf course. Well, it's #1 for a reason. Miramichi, go check it out this weekend.
When we want to talk the Georgia Bulldogs, we turn to our friend Patrick Garvin. He's on Twitter at Patrick Garvin, author of Dogs Gone Wild, the scandalous 70s of Georgia football. He's with Rivals, also a member of the Football Writers Association of America. And Patrick, we've tossed this about as many big games as Sanford Stadium, now Vince Dooley Field, has hosted. Notre Dame coming to town. Is this the biggest game ever on campus in Athens?
I tell you, as far as non-conference, probably so. I mean, just based on the fact that Georgia's 3rd, Notre Dame's 7th. This is only the 3rd time the two teams have played. Arguably, there's been some bigger games. Alabama coming in 76, Clemson in 82, defending national champions from the 2 previous years, met on Labor Day night here. But as far as, that's Alabama, that's Clemson. There's been some big Georgia Tech games. But this is Notre Dame, a school that, like I said, they've only played twice before. 750 miles or so separate the two. And at least in our lifetime, the Irish are likely not coming back to Athens. So it's with all that being said, you could certainly argue it's the biggest non-conference game ever at Sanford Stadium.
So the first game, I take it, was not in Athens.
It was in Sugar Bowl for the national championship.
That's the only other time.
Herschel's freshman year, and then it was in South Bend 2 years ago. That's the only other 2 times they met.
Correct.
So when they've played, the stakes have been really big, Patrick, and on paper, they're big this week. Look, Notre Dame pulled the upset. Then Brian Kelly's got his team headed back to the playoffs again, probably.
Yeah, I would think so. And I think a loss for Georgia would Georgia's a 14-point favorite, which I think is the one thing that does kind of take a little bit away from the game. I mean, Georgia's just very much expected to win, and a loss by Georgia would be really, detrimental, especially how Georgia's looked. Granted, it was against Murray State, Arkansas State, and Vanderbilt, but these first 3 games. So, and with that being said, a win for Notre Dame would be humongous for the Irish.
The Irish are going to have to stop the run, I guess, based on these stats. They're not very good at it, and Georgia is.
No.
Is that your biggest key?
The biggest key would, if Notre Dame, you're right. Just off the top of my head, giving up like 225, 230 rushing yards a game against 2 teams that aren't very, keen on rushing the ball, but 5 yards a carry. And you're now facing arguably the best running game in college football. That would be the key. If Notre Dame is somehow able to stop the game, but then you have Jake Fromm throwing the ball. So I think that's why Georgia's considered such a heavy favorite. Not only do they have the intangibles, whatnot, but just in pure matchups, Georgia matches up really well against Notre Dame's weaknesses. So, but yeah, if Georgia's able to run the ball early, it could be a long day for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame ranks 122nd against the rush out of 130. So Georgia's going to kind of just try to pound the rock all day. If they had to, maybe not against Notre Dame, but later in the year, if they had to ask Jake Fromm to throw it 45 to 50 times a game in a win, we usually know what happens when you throw it that much, you lose. But to go out and, all right, Jake Fromm, throw it 45, 50 times, and we're going to win the game. Is he capable of that, Patrick?
I think he's capable of it, Brett. But I think what the naysayers will say is that the times that he has thrown, I think 34 times against LSU last year when Georgia got beat pretty handily, and against Auburn in 2017, the regular season, he threw it quite a bit. But those times that he has thrown it, Georgia has lost. But he's an exceptional quarterback. They just haven't had to go out there and throw it 30, 35 times unless they've had to, unless that running game has been stopped. And thus far this year, it hasn't even. Georgia's been able to basically run at will. So Notre Dame, their run defense is struggling, but I would certainly expect it to be better than any of the first 3 foes that Georgia faced.
I take it there's not a restaurant reservation to be had, not a hotel room that can be booked,
not a ticket to be found.
I tell you, a friend of mine said it best. He's like, this is going to. There are going to be more people combined here than the '96 Olympics when that came to town for a few events, and when the band Widespread Panic came 2 years later. All those folks combined, it's going to be bedlam. You make a good point, and people try to guess. Even some guy I heard earlier was trying to use algorithms and whatnot. How many people are going to be in Athens on let's say Saturday? And from what I've heard, besides the 92, 746 that have tickets, expect about 50 to 100,000 more people to be in Athens.
Isn't that
just a party?
And that's the darndest phenomenon, and I don't know who started. I swear I want to give Ohio State credit for it, because a lot of their people show up at bowl sites, usually a Rose Bowl, maybe sometime a Fiesta Bowl, a lot of times somewhere really warm, and we understand wanting to get out of that Ohio winter with no prayer of a ticket. I know in 2014 for the big Alabama-Ole Miss game in Oxford, they estimated around 100,000 in town. Well, Vaught Hemingway, a whole 65. That many people that show up now just to jump in on the party, Patrick.
Yeah, and I'm in my early 40s, and I had 8 friends of mine 2 years ago go up to South Bend, and only 2 of them had tickets. And these guys with families and whatnot back home. But I guess it's more so the event that draws these people. And I just know this. I'm glad that I tend to get to the press box really early anyway. I think that's going to be even more so early come Saturday because you don't want to get stuck up, on the loop that runs around Athens.
Early is your friend.
Or 316 that comes in from Atlanta. It's going to be crazy. And I swear, I drive into practice just now. I just got here not too long ago. Maybe it's just in my head, guys, right? But it seems like there are more people now, just kind of around the city. And I see more RVs and whatnot. I guess folks that can come and hang out for a few days before the game.
Getting out of there is going to be the biggest trick.
Oh, that's
at
right.
midnight.
We didn't even. Oh, I know. That's going to be the biggest trick.
Now, one thing that a lot of things really contributed to the Georgia crowd in South Bend 2 years ago. I think on Friday night there were a lot of fans there for Braves Cubs at Wrigley. Is that right? 2 years ago.
It was Brewers Cubs.
Brewers Cubs.
I mean, I was there, and because of that, because I'd been to Wrigley once before, but none of my friends had been. So, we went there for that.
And Georgia fans took that over.
Yeah, they did. And then the Bears played on Sunday, and they did play the Falcons, but there were a ton of Georgia fans in there too. But yeah, you're right. And then the day of the game, there was a big organized big event with tents and food and whatnot. But yeah, it's people are batting down the hatches here. It's going to be crazy come Saturday.
Since making the decision to go with Kirby Smart, it's been pretty amazing. The culture is as good, I think, as you could get it at Georgia right now. You can argue Clemson, you can argue Tuscaloosa, but other than that,
Oklahoma.
Really, Oklahoma, okay,
Georgia's right there.
It's right up there.
Yeah, and it's I remember even as a kid going through some of these 8-4, 9-3 seasons, and people would get frustrated. And I guess the old saying was, "Gosh, Patrick, I mean, they could put you at head coach, and just on these recruits from the state, you could go 9-3." You can go 8-4, and I think there was always that idea, why is Georgia going, say, 7-5 one year, or 8-5, or 6-7 like they did in 2010? But now what Kirby's done, not only is he coming in and getting all the top-notch players in the state, but of the 18 commitments for the 2020 class, 14 are out of state. I think 3 are from Texas, and up until a year or two ago, Georgia hadn't signed a player from Texas since Matt Stafford in 2006.
Wow.
So it's just, you want to talk about changing the culture, it's just different. Kids from all over the country now want to come here and play. They know Kirby he's tough, he's no nonsense, and I think that attracts a lot of the parents to maybe give that extra, But a big part is also the staff that he surrounded himself with. Sam Pittman, the offensive line coach. I mean, he's probably the best recruiter of them all. And what he's able to do in the offensive line recruits he's been able to bring in, and we've talked before. Mark Richt, this program was doing really well under him. But what Coach Smart has done, he has just brought it to a level that a rich history like Georgia, it has the capability of never being at this level before for so long. I mean, this could keep going. It could be Alabama-esque, if you will.
That's what he wants.
And that's what's expected. And that's what's expected too, guys.
Along those lines, and I have a nephew that's there now and 2 nieces that just graduated. So I know a little bit about the academics at Georgia. I know that you have to be pretty good. But I would imagine if we're going to be Alabama-esque here, how much since Kirby and this football team has risen to the top have the admission standards risen at Georgia?
That's something that, I'll be honest, I can't answer. I know when I came in here in 93, the admission standards weren't that great, or I wouldn't have gotten in here, to be quite honest. And especially, as far as it, but I will say this, you rarely hear of a kid flunking out. for a kid, and I think a lot of it is the help, and it's like this with a lot of major programs, but the help, I mean, like legitimate tutors, but
I don't know how you don't graduate in 4 years.
Oh, yeah, and the thing is, you better go to those tutoring sessions. You better do well on these tests, or there's so much, there's no more complacency within this program like there used to be. And some of the guys, almost scared to mess up on the football field. They better not mess up in the classroom either. So, you mentioned changing the culture again. It's totally different here than it was just 4 years ago.
Patrick, I think it's very fair to say, look, they've beat them. They've been toe-to-toe with them. Clemson's caught Alabama for now. Georgia's right there behind them. But until they beat them, I don't know you can say they've caught them. Is that fair, or do you think they've caught them and they're due?
No, I think I totally agree. I mean, it's been nearly 40 years since Georgia won a national championship, and I think Kirby Smart would be the first to tell you that Georgia can't claim any anything whatsoever that they are at the top of the top, at least until they win a national title or two. And to do that, let's face it, you're likely, at least within the next few years, going to have to beat Alabama or Clemson to get there. And at least with Alabama, they're not only are they 0-2 the last 2 years, but they had double-digit advantages in both games before losing. Yep. So, they're not quite there, but they're getting close.
Since you mentioned that championship, is Vince Dooley around at all? Is he still living in the Athens area?
Oh, yeah. In fact, he attended the Monday presser. On Saturday they had the Saturday before they had the he's added on to it, but he still lives in the same home that he received when he became head coach in 1964. So yeah, he's still very, very much around.
Is Ray Goff still in the community?
Ray Goff, actually, I talked to Ray not too long ago. Ray Goff lives in the next county over. So Athens is in Clark County, and Oconee is right next door. He lives in Oconee County. So, yeah, he's still around, too.
I love Ray Goff, and I know he was heavily criticized, especially at the end and at his ouster, and I defended him on these airwaves, people, Georgia fans. He wasn't ready. He was too green. What was he going to do? Say no to being Georgia head football coach?
You're right.
Of course you got to take a swing at that. And then I had a good line a few years later, Patrick. I don't know if you remember this. And, really his name never really resurfaced at all for any job except for one time Rutgers was really close.
Yep, I remember that.
And really interested in hiring Ray Goff. And I said, if they hire him at Rutgers, he'll have to take an interpreter with him.
Oh, I know. You want to talk about a difference in culture. You go from Athens, Georgia, and him being from Moultrie, Georgia, which is South Georgia, and going up to the New York, New Jersey way. But to add on to what you guys saying, the head coach after them, who was here for 5 years from 96 to 2000, Jim Donnan, still lives in the area too. In fact, he's part of. We have a broadcast with him on UGAsports.com every Tuesday, and he's still involved. He shows up at practice.
Jim was the guy from Georgia Southern, right? Won national titles at
Marshall. He came from Marshall.
Oh, he came from Marshall. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who am I thinking about that was at Georgia Southern, started that
Irk
program?
Russell.
Irk Russell.
He was at Georgia.
And went, yeah.
And went to
he
Georgia.
Was Dooley's defensive coordinator from 64 through 80.
Right. Wow.
And then left to go to start that program from scratch.
You mentioned Clark County, Athens and Clark County. It is some area. I told Dave, I promise you, Patrick, before we came on, if the good Lord right now said, all right, Brett, you got one Saturday left at college football, where are you going to go? It's between the hedges. I go to Sanford Stadium. I go to Athens.
Well, and I think that's why Dooley, Donnan, and Goff are still in the area. Athens is. I'm fortunate. I can remain in this area, especially if I have to drive through Atlanta, right? But yeah, it's a really great area, a great town, and it's maybe unfortunately, but there may be about 200,000 or so people realize that come this Saturday.
Well, the whole I agree with you. The whole area is gorgeous, and if you go to Atlanta and you go north, like around Lake Lanier, and then up even north of that into Tennessee, into Carolina, it is just gorgeous country, no question. Patrick, you're lucky to be there, especially this weekend. I know it's going to be one heck of a fun time.
Definitely. It's like I said, I mean, I kind of kid and say batten down the hatches, but I do feel fortunate that I get to experience this. You know, Georgia won't have another non-conference team at this, even close to this caliber, besides Georgia Tech, come for another 7 years when UCLA comes here. So, and it's Notre Dame. You know,
it's Notre Dame.
It's Notre Dame. That's all you got to say.
So,
Thank
you, Patrick.
So, all right, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Patrick Garvin from Rivals in Athens, Georgia. I think we're going to make our picks, obviously, later in the week. But
Georgia heavy favorite.
If you look at the Irish's inability to stop the run, and you look at how well the Bulldogs run the football, you would have to think, and at home, you'd have to think Georgia is the overwhelming favorite.
You like Ian Book? I think I do.
I think I do. I mean,
hard-nosed player.
He certainly was enough to unseat Winbush, who hadn't lost a game. And I'm not sure, when he first got there, he came on and he was outstanding. And it's what is he, lost one game? Really? So how much can we really criticize him? But he doesn't seem to be.
That was Clemson.
Right. He doesn't seem to be quite as dynamic maybe as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, these games have been close. 2 years ago, 20-17 when Georgia narrowly won, and that catapulted them into the college football playoff. And then that classic on New Year's Day, 1981, Herschel Walker's freshman year, that storied year, and they beat Blair Kill and was Dan Devine still there? Or was that Dan Devine, wasn't it? In 1980 for Notre Dame?
I think so.
That was before the high school coach?
I think so. Before Jerry Faust?
Before Jerry Faust won 17-10. And I know it's going to be featured, and I think I told the story at SEC Media Days. But Herschel Walker on the second or third play of that game, severely, I don't know the grade, but it was severely separated shoulder. Doctor saying you cannot go back in. It's over. And he said, I'm going back in, and went back in, was scared to death of needles, scared to death of doctors, went back in with the whatever degrry separated
with
shoulder.
No painkiller.
Not shot up at all.
He's an amazing human being. I told you, he came to speak to what was then the Lipscomb Pitts Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And I got to intro him, and so I get to speak with these guys a little bit before and then listen to their speech. Here was a guy who was traumatized as a kid, really was not a speaker at all. And, that people were wondering, was he smart enough to get into Georgia? I remember that. The guy owns, I don't know how many businesses. He's a consultant. He's brilliant and articulate as could be and charismatic. I mean, I fell in love with him. I fell in love with him on the field, but I'm just saying, as an adult, what he has accomplished is outstanding.
Wanted to join the Marines. His mother said, no, you're going to go to college. We want somebody in this family to go to college out of Wrightsville, Georgia, Johnson County High, number 43, and had gone out to USC for an official visit. Picking him up at the airport in his Rolls Royce was O.J. Simpson and Marcus Allen.
Wow.
And winding down, and he said, I went to that house that was O.J.'s house.
Right.
And realized that Los Angeles was just too big. He said, for a country boy, I knew I wasn't going there. Narrowed it down to Clemson and Danny Ford and Georgia. You know how he decided where to go? Coin toss.
Wow. Georgia won.
Poor Danny Ford.
Boy, right. He might be Dabo Swinney now. They'd have a statue of him in front there had Herschel gone there. I think it's between him and Bo, the two best running backs I ever saw in the SEC. And I think Herschel gets the nod, to be totally honest.
Olympic sprinter.
Oh, unbelievable.
But Bo was so good, too, though.
And I believe this is true. I'm trying to remember if he said this in his speech. Prior to getting to college, as well-built as he was, he never lifted weights. It was all push-ups and sit-ups. That's how he worked out.
Played at the smallest classification, state high school football. Can you imagine being in Class A football and having to get in front of that?
No, because somebody would be, in this day and age, they would have recruited you to a bigger school and said, look, you got to come here if you want to get a big-time scholarship.
That's the truth, too.
That is the truth. That's the way it works now. No doubt about it. We take a break. We'll be come back more with Wolo and Stats.
The Peter Edmiston Experience with C.J. Hurt. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Welcome to Sherwin-Williams.
Hi there. I heard paints are 40% off.
Yep, and stains too.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Only at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store.
Right now.
Well, September 20th through 23rd.
Right on.
Right? Ask Sherwin-Williams, September 20th through 23rd, and save 40% on paints and stains, with sale prices starting at $23.09. Only at your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
When you're well-dressed, people say,
Nice suit.
when you're best dressed, they say,
Nice suit.
The JCPenney Men's Best Dressed event ends this week. Don't miss 50% off men's select suit separates, sport coats, and dress pants from Collection by Michael Strahan, Stafford, and JFJ Farrar. And for big and tall guys, shop Shaquille O'Neal XLG and more. Plus, get an extra $10 off your $25 purchase with coupon. JCPenney. Offers valid 9/19 to 9/22. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Frontier Western Store's world-famous boot showroom is waiting for you. With aisles and aisles of boots in one easy spot, you will find your next favorite pair at Frontier. Everyone loves Ariat boots, and Frontier has over 1,000 pair in that brand alone. Come grab a pair of rugged work boots like the Workhog, or discover an everyday classic in Ariat's Rambler. Tons of other brands as well: Rocky, Dan Post, Red Wing, Durango, Justin, Twisted X, and many more. Frontier constantly restocks and refreshes their lineup of boots, so you're certain to walk out of the store happy in your new comfortable footwear. They have a wide assortment of sizes available for men, women, and children. Work, dress, or play, Frontier's knowledgeable staff will cheerfully help you find the perfect fit. It's boots galore at Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road, Olive Branch, or on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated, you know it, since 1967.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. I have not listened to this. I'm going to make a point to do it tonight. I don't know if you have, but Mike Leach was asked about who would be the toughest mascot in the Pac-12, and he
went bracketology.
On the spur of the moment, he does an analysis of all four and who might win. It's supposed to be incredibly funny.
Is he made for the SEC?
I think he's made for wherever he wants to go. He's doing well in the Pac-12. He's already been in the SEC as an assistant coach, and that was a great grouping with Kentucky. Until Stoops came in, that was the best I'd ever seen Kentucky.
How about this one? And this is just rank speculation. Heck, it's Sports Talk Radio. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
They pay us to do this.
A lot of talk about Lincoln Riley. I think the ideal spot for him, if he were to ever leave OU, it seems like it's the Cowboys.
It's the only place I think he would go.
Probably the only place.
What
about Mike Leach there?
You're always looking for where the grass is greener. Man, to
OU if the dominoes started falling.
You know, maybe so.
That offense.
They've always had wild guys, starting with Barry Switzer,
Big Game Bob.
Big game
wild
pop,
crazy guy.
Right? Yeah, I think he would fit in there. He's a different guy.
I love the idea.
Look what happened at Texas
I don't know
Tech.
that I want him at my place, though. I love the big, broad idea of Mike Leach, but if the losing started with that idiosyncratic, eccentric, zany style, how does that shop wear?
Well, first of all, where has he really lost? He got in trouble at Texas Tech because, what was it, Craig James's kid told the story, and I really still am not skeptical. I just don't quite get the way
There
all
were
that
holes in
worked
that
together.
story.
I agree. But that cost him that job.
That was the putting the kid with a concussion in a dark shed story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
In an equipment
exactly, an equipment shed. Because he doesn't seem to me to be that kind of guy. And I've gotten to know Hal Mummy over the last few years, and Hal talks about him, what a really good human being he is.
Reverentially?
Yes.
He does?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he is
Hal Mummy.
a protege
Yeah.
of Hal's. And maybe he's taken it a step above Hal. I think that would be, I don't think Hal would agree with that, but it's probably fair to make that assessment. In the meantime, he's never really lost. And the thing is, I think even if he was losing, he'd be cool because he'd figure out something to make it interesting, like this mascot stuff. The guy's a genius.
Kind of a Lou Holtz disarm the critics crowd.
Exactly. I think he would win anywhere. I think Tennessee.
And he's in football Siberia.
This is really easy to say now, and I know that. It's because hindsight's always 20/20. But it sure appears at this very moment, September, what are we, the 19th, the 18th?
18th.
That Tennessee made a mistake, and they didn't get him, and they chose to go with Jeremy Pruitt.
Because
they had him.
Did you read the full form Chris Lowe piece on the one
Yes.
Rocky year on Rocky Top?
Yes, I did.
Kiffin?
I did. I thought it was really interesting, and I've never really been a Lane fan, but after reading that story, I'd want to be a Lane fan, I mean, that actually was one of the painted a better picture of the way that I think Lane Kiffin is truly perceived, and he was fun. And look, he won some big games at Tennessee, and I know it, but there were 2 wins. Was it Georgia and Florida? Did he beat? I think so.
He barely lost to Alabama on the last second block kick.
Right.
And in that story, I'd never heard this, that the midfield at the handshake,
right,
he told Nick
He got
Saban
cocky.
that this is the last time you'll beat me. Nick Saban hadn't lost to Tennessee since, and that wasn't Lane Kiffin.
No, but he's never beaten Lane Kiffin either, and then he hired him.
And Lane Kiffin said, I was accurate. I was right about it. He still hadn't beat me. One thing I thought Chris Lowe left out of that story, if you'll remember that year, Dave, and on these airways, and we were together in the morning at that time, and it was a big Tennessee coming to Oxford to play Ole Miss game that year. And all week, the central theme of texters, callers, however we got communication back then. Right? We didn't get Periscope or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and Twitter like we can now here. But that week, the common theme, especially Tennessee fans in this area, Houston Nutt doesn't have a prayer against a Lane Kiffin offense and a Monty Kiffin defense. It's named the score Saturday. Dexter McCluster still running 282 that day on the Monty Kiffin
on Monty
defense.
Kiffin's what was interesting to me is, and I did forget this, those people at Tennessee loved Lane Kiffin. They were upset.
They wanted to love him.
When he left, they felt like he was a traitor. And maybe he's being honest when he says that USC was the only school he would have gone for. The truth and Lane sometimes are hard to figure out.
He's 34.
And he was young. And he'd already been so successful. He'd been the Raiders coach, and Al Davis was rubbed the wrong way. Remember, Al Davis, what he said when Tennessee hired him.
He was about the worst guy ever.
Yeah. And that is exactly about paraphrasing the entire entity of what he was trying to speak about. And then, he does turn around a program there, and they win 7 games and go to a bowl, and, he's walking on water. They loved him, and he was charismatic, and the students loved him, and he was jogging shirtless on campus, and his wife was incredibly beautiful. I mean, that was really good. Monty Kiffin in that article says that was the biggest mistake we ever made. We never should have gone to USC. But it's pretty hard to turn down USC. I could understand. He was never thought that same way by that fan base as he was in Knoxville.
This week, as the Tigers rest during the open date, one of 34 FBS teams that remain undefeated. There are going to be some teams chopped up this weekend. There are a couple head-to-head undefeated, so 3 or 4 will lose there, and maybe 3 or 4 more. So heading into the Navy game, it's going to be a battle of 2 undefeated teams out of about 26, 27, 28 or so of that number. Dave, do you think Mike Norvell and the Tiger program is getting its just due, the hoopla, or does it got to keep on winning, got to beat Navy, got to go down to Lumen Road, got to go to Temple?
I think Memphis is getting its just due at this point. They are now 26 in one poll and 30 in another. They've only beaten Ole Miss and then an FCS team,
but in mostly
and then a Sun Belt team.
Ole Miss,
okay, I think so.
Again, we've talked,
and I think that score could have been a lot bigger, but it wasn't. And they had the big run by Patrick called back, and honestly, I think Kenny Gainwell could have scored.
They said on the end. Yeah. It didn't feel like Ole Miss could have scored many more points that day.
I think Memphis was in control. You never thought Memphis was going to lose the game, did you?
I didn't. From
I was nervous, but I never really thought they were going to lose the game.
Or I'm sorry, 13. Nothing. At 13, it felt really over.
Right, because the Memphis defense is really good. You felt in the first quarter of the game at South Alabama was over. But, let's be honest.
You're with me. You think it might be a little
why?
more.
Where do you think you're not getting your due?
Here's why I don't think we're getting our due, Dave. I don't think we're getting our due, not just from the 3-0 that we're sitting at right now. It's the last 5 years. It seems like everybody else in the country, they build off of what they did the year before and the year before that. But with us and the way that we're perceived in the media, and especially the national media, is that why everybody else keeps going forward. It feels like every year we got to start back at ground zero. We got to start back at the starting line, while everybody else is already 10 paces in front of us.
It does feel like everything kind of recalibrates, resets with the Tigers instead of some kind of thumb on the scale. What you did last year, what you've done, it doesn't feel like their cumulative body work gets the carryover effect that some get. And Central Florida has really earned theirs.
Because they've won the big games. Yeah. I hate to say this, but most of the time to get respect, you have to earn it. I don't think there are people out there that say,
that's the best way.
It's Memphis. Because basketball is getting all the respect in the world. And they have because in the past, they've been to Final Fours. Here's the bottom line on this team. And I am a Mike Norvell guy. I hope he stays forever. But Memphis has not won the big games. If you look at Mike's record against winning teams, that's why you're not getting that respect. If he keeps winning, and he beats Navy this week, and
any basketball component in this, with everybody so excited. I mean, what's the first thing I said to you when I walked in today?
Where's the schedule?
Where is the darn basketball schedule?
I don't think we're getting the schedule this week. And you want to know something I'm going to tell you? This is funny. You know when it came out last year? Because I thought it was much earlier. You know when that schedule came out last year? September 17th. So it should have come out by that yesterday.
That late last year?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
That's what Phil Stukenborg told me.
I'm going to believe Phil. Because he writes the release.
But when we are getting votes, and we have been picked to win our division every time, we're picked number 2 in the conference by almost everybody behind the team that has dominated, that has won 28 out of 29 games. We haven't beaten them. If you win those games, you would be getting that respect.
If you went all the way down in AP this week, the Tigers would they're 30th. They would be ranked 30th. All right, this week, 2 or 3 ahead of them will get clipped, won't they?
I'm hoping so.
So, 26, 27?
Well, Cal could be one of them if your guys take care of business.
So you pulling for the Rabbits?
I told you after that game, I'm for Ole Miss.
So you pulling for the Rabbits?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're going to win, but absolutely. I picked them in the preseason.
I got you a ticket Saturday. I know you got plenty of time. I don't want to get your business. You got a good weekend ahead of you. But I got you a ticket if you need one. You could somehow get an afternoon flight. You won't play well enough to do that.
If I get hurt,
don't get hurt. Don't even joke about that. But yeah, a couple could get clipped off, and then you could have a undefeated Memphis against undefeated Navy, with Memphis around 26-27. Win that, then you're in. You're in the top 25, and you just want the attritional battle the rest of the way.
Well, let's face it. If you win this game, and I think they will, then you've got a decent test on the road against Louisiana Monroe. That's not going to get you a lot of votes, but it'll kill you if you lose. But then you got the big showdown.
Because Monroe lost but one at Tallahassee.
I know that. They're not a bad team. They're not a bad team at all.
Isn't that exactly what we thought about South Alabama last week? That they gave Nebraska fits.
Right. This team, I think, is better than South Alabama. I really do. Anyway, bottom line is you should win that game. Now you got the showdown where you actually might not be favored, depending on what happens with Temple the next few weeks.
Undefeated Temple.
Temple is undefeated, and they've got a pretty signature win against a Maryland team that put 69 on 21st-ranked Syracuse the week before they played Temple.
Temple could be hosting that game 2-0 in the ACC with the win they already have over Maryland, upcoming matchup with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but
you want that.
I do.
You're right now saying go Temple.
I am for every AAC team to win except when they play Memphis.
Here's an odd game note for Ole Miss. Saturday against Cal. Cal's undefeated. I think it's safe to say Alabama's going to be undefeated in 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Ole Miss is every opponent they have gone into this year, they've been undefeated when they played them.
That's because Memphis hadn't played a game. Arkansas had beat Portland State. And with Southeast Louisiana
1-0.
1-0.
Everybody undefeated when you play them.
That won't. That trend won't happen much longer.
Vandy will not keep it going, will it?
No.
On October 5th. No, you want Temple to stay undefeated, and then after you beat them, have a good year.
So you really think Memphis is not getting their fair share of positive pub from around the country?
I'm not talking about around the country. I'm talking about here. I think it's a little. I thought it would be a little more buzzy than it is about. Maybe it'll build into next week.
Are you talking about crowd?
I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about the summertime vibe of favored in every game. You felt that. I felt that around town. Well, they've lived up to that. They've been favored in every game,
right,
and they've won every game. I don't think it's expected, but I just thought it would be a little more poppy than it's been.
Well, again, I don't think there's been a whole lot where you could test the waters.
It's been so easy.
I mean, first of all, you get the big win and all the elation from Ole Miss, but then the next week is Southern. Okay, well, everybody's expecting that to be a massacre, and I thought we had a pretty good crowd. I mean, it wasn't going to be like Ole Miss, but I thought it was a pretty fair crowd. I thought we had a very good contingent of fans that traveled the 6 hours to Mobile.
Heck, it was almost 50-50 between Memphis and South Alabama.
You were in the stand, so
here's the factor,
that's good, and they took care of business there, and now you got an off week.
Here's the factor.
Let's see how it feels next week.
Here's the factor I think that's holding back a little of the vibe, the feel. It's the darn hot.
That is true.
Cool off.
By the way, somebody had texted us this. It's 100 degrees today. And this texter says at 67129 on the First Bank text line, my native golfing friends who lived here their entire lives are struggling with this.
This is one of the exceptional ones. I know of 2 or 3 that I remember it being this hot. 98 was really hot. 1980 stayed hot until October 1st.
Yeah.
You got your sports page? Let me see your sports page.
I believe I saw.
Let me see a record heat for this day.
I believe I saw that we are averaging over 10 degrees warmer than the norm.
Well, yesterday was the record.
Entered the month.
2019, yesterday was the all-time record.
What was it, 100 yesterday? Did it get to 199? Well, apparently it's 100 today, so we're breaking the record. My poor wife, seriously. She's a teacher, and she has car duty. Do you know on the black
asphalt.
Brutal. How hot it is there?
I do.
She comes home, she's got to take a shower.
And this is usually a thing for late July, early August when practices start. At junior high and high school games around town tomorrow night and Friday night, and even for practices, just because it says September, keep those safeguards on those temperatures. They hit a certain level, stop that game because we don't need any of that.
Absolutely. Well, I don't. How are these guys? How are they practicing? Because what's the threshold? The rules are posted. It can't be.
And so
the heat index has to be under 115. It might be 115.
I think it's lower than that.
It was 115 when I was playing. I think now it might be 110.
We might need to ratchet that back.
I think he's right. No, I think it's 110. I think he's right.
110.
But if I remember right, when I was in high school, it was 115.
Are we forgetting the gear on? I mean, they're not out there in gym shorts.
Anybody knows, and we've got a lot of people who are referees or administrators in high school athletics.
Let's know. Be careful.
I would love to know
careful for the refs.
What is that heat threshold? What is? I think he may be right. It might be 110. That combination of temperature and humidity.
Last Saturday in Oxford, during one of the kind of a lengthy TV timeout, you know the water people that also go out to the officials, and there was one official. I mean, he took his hat off, and with a wet towel, they were laboring. I mean, they're out there busting it.
Oh yeah.
Chain gang, everybody.
Some of those guys are not in such good shape either.
Some of them are around our age.
Exactly. Some of them are older, than you. Somebody just texted us 104 or less is the way it works. 104 in elementary and middle school, practice and games.
I don't want to get in anybody's business.
So it's got to be
lowered.
I got to be over. It's got to be. Over 104 now.
Oh, man, look at all the 104s rolling in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We really do. And that's the index. That's the combination of heat and humidity, which I'm certain there's not got. I bet you Glenn Rogers Jr. is listening to us today because he can't practice. Now they're probably in film meetings or something. But they can't be out on the practice field today.
Just got to be careful.
Absolutely. We got to take a break. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the famous now tankless water heater. I've had a bunch of people come up to go, really, do you have one of those? Yes, we do. And we got it from Conway because they were the first people I know that made it affordable. And it is unbelievable. I'm saving money on my LGW bill because I'm no longer heating a 75-gallon tank that I'm not using. That's just simple. Logic right there. And then, of course, I never run out of hot water. That's the coolest thing. Some places, like we have company that comes over, family from out of town, because we have a bunch of those now. They come in, they're taking showers. I'm the last guy. Isn't that the way it always works? I'm never out of hot water. And Gail can have the washing machine and the dishwasher on all at the same time. And I'm telling you, it's the perfect time to do it right now. John's always thinking. Replace the old Energy Guzzler tank. Get yourself a tankless. And the way you can do it is 24 months to pay interest-free, or John will just say, here's $250 for that old antiquated tank water heater. They're great, and you never have to worry about the tank bursting because there is no tank. Please make the call, 384-3511. Take advantage, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Back in just a minute. We got a couple of texts to clarify some stuff. We're back in a second as you listen to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find real sports talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
Hewlett & Dunn, nestled on Old Town Square in Collierville, has 4,000 square feet of the largest boot selection in 200 miles. International boot legends Luke Casey, Double H, Red Wing, Ariat, Justin, and Tony Lama. Hewlett & Dunn has rubber hunting boots by Dry Shod, and recently has expanded the selection of safety work boots. Filson Hunting Gear, biggest selection in 3 states, and now carrying Duckhead. Western wear, hunting attire, jeans, belts, hats, and more at 111 North Center Street, Collierville on Old Town Square. You need to stop by Hewlett & Dunn? You bet your boots.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Williams Equipment and Supply, your Bobcat loader and excavator dealer, is #1 in compact construction equipment with the highest market share, the largest inventory of equipment, attachments, and parts, the largest compact rental fleet, and the best technicians and the most locations. Williams Equipment is the undisputed leader. Find out why more people buy, lease, and rent Bobcat equipment from Williams Equipment than any other brand.
This is Cody Bumpus, your Bobcat specialist of North Mississippi. Call me for a demonstration and a finance quote at 901-508-8739.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we end our second hour here. We got the best texters, the best listeners. First bank text line, lots of good stuff. Coaches have told us. State law says heat index of 104. All activities, games, practices must stop. If it's over 90, you must have breaks for 10 minutes every 30 minutes. A Christian Brothers high school player said they showed up at 7 and they stay until it cools down. When the heat index was 110, they said they were there until 10 o'clock last night.
And got a texture also remembering fall of 1980. I mean, it was hot from June 1 to October 1 that year. And then we're probably going to have this year, that year, literally running full tilt air conditioner one day and the furnace the next.
One of those textures that was talking about 1980 talked about the famous beach within reach, Maywood. You remember that?
I don't.
Oh, yeah. Where it was, I think, just in North Mississippi. Somebody absolutely knows. I heard a lot about it. By the time I was ready to go, it was gone.
I don't.
Yeah. Famous Maywood Beach.
And that
it's a big pool.
The person that texted in, he's a coach. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob Hope, I remember this line. Bob Hope once said at the Danny Thomas St. Jude Golf Tournament, he thought he was in a steam bath on the first tee. And the guy goes, that was August. Yeah, but this feels exactly the way August. Like September has yet to arrive.
Colonial was a little bit like Casey Stengel describing New Busch Stadium, that you really hold your heat well. Colonial really did the heat more than a lot of places, didn't it?
I think so.
In those years.
Oh, I think so.
And that's when we got labeled.
I will tell you the truth. That was the hottest I've ever been in Memphis. Was one of those golf tournaments.
Early 80s.
Walking out of that press room, which was up on that balcony thing, you'd go out and you would wilt. I'll never forget how hot that was. We got a couple of other texts that I do find interesting, and there are people. And look, we love Bo. Okay, so don't make this a Bo versus Herschel thing, but Herschel was amazing because
I take either one of them. I'm not getting in that argument ever again. I'm not going to decide. They both won Heisman trophies. They both were terrific.
Herschel
legendary.
But here's what Herschel did. Herschel was an Olympic bobsledder. Herschel was a 5th-degree black belt.
NCAA sprinter.
And at the age of 57, he became an MMA boxer. Remember getting to the cage?
Well, Bo was pretty good two-sport, too.
Bo was an all-star at the two
and in 1990,
major league levels.
In 1990, in the infancy of hip replacement, had his replaced and still played for the White Sox.
Yeah. And you know that the materials used back then are nothing like the materials used now.
I mean, in Bo's years here with the Chicks, and George used to tell us great stories about that. Our buddy Scott Crawford at All-Star was one of the clubbies that summer.
We've had some unbelievable baseball adventures. Michael Jordan coming through the period of time with Bo.
Dave, before you got here, it was wet and wild. Denny McLean running the team.
Oh, I know.
And running a gambling operation in left field.
To have seen that.
Running a book operation.
At old Timmy Mack. Whew. We got to take a break. When we come back, Joe Starkey. You know his voice. You've heard him. He's the guy that was a big part of the California band play against Stanford. This is the Cal side. Joe Starkey, who will be in town when Cal takes on Ole Miss on Saturday morning. He's next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit our Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road or our East Memphis location at 5992 Knight Arnold Road. Starting this week, get 3 juicy snow crabs, 17 shrimps, 2 whole sausages, 2 corn, 2 eggs, and a large side of potatoes for only $43.99. That's right, $43.99. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab Kings is #1. Make the right choice the first time. Make it Crab Kings. Come and devour our tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, and catfish. Enjoy Memphis' best tasting pastas with your choice of toppings. Visit our Bartlett Cordova locations at 7140 Stage Road or our East Memphis location at 5992 Knight Arnold Road. Crab Kings is open Tuesday through Sunday. For more information, Google Crab Kings Memphis or download the app. Crab Kings, a Memphis original.
Eli Savoy here for my friends over at the Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Here to let you know it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with the new arrivals from TaylorMade. Introducing the new P790 irons and the new milled grind 2 wedges. The P790 irons feature speed foam technology and redesigned tungsten weighting for optimum feel and distance. And the new milled grind 2 wedges designed for increased spin and precision with raw face technology. Let them help you find the right set and get your free custom fitting today. Just a few of the exciting new fall releases you will find now at the Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Visit Edwin Watts Golf Shop and check out new P790 irons and the new milled grind 2 wedges. The Edwin Watts Golf Shop on the corner of Poplar and Perkins Extended. We'll see you there. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, serving golfers since 1968.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
It's good news for bargain hunters and bandits from the Chevy Sheriff in Collierville. Sunrise Chevy has over 500 Chevys and used cars in stock just in time for the Sunrise Low Price Rodeo. Factory rebates up to $5,000, Sunrise discounts high as $8,000, and don't forget, Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good body shop? Bring it to Sunrise. We work on all makes and models. Remember, you can bring your Chevy to Sunrise for service no matter where you bought. Buy American and buy from Sunrise. There's always a sale at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. Find new roads to 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Chevys cost less at Sunrise, partner.
Hi, this is Troy 5Ash, owner of 5Ash Roofing. As most of you know, I don't have a history of bragging or boasting that 5Ash Roofing is the best roofer in the Memphis area, but did you know we are the only diamond-level roofing professional in the area? We are one of very few local roofing companies that have been in business for 20 years. We've never had a justified claim against us. We are locally owned and family operated. Our labor warranties are for the life of the shingles. We're experts in insurance claim. We do residential and commercial work. We are the official roofer of the University of Memphis Athletic Department and a proud member of the Tigers home team. We support local youth sports and St. Jude's. We have worked with churches and veteran services to help those in need by providing services at a deep discount or even for free. We are currently working with Young Life to give them a free roof on the historic log cabin in Germantown. 5Ash Roofing. Fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
5Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPGF-LP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in hour number 3 on this hot 100-degree Wednesday. I am looking forward to Saturday morning when
Community building for the Bears.
Well, I like the name, the Bears, that's for sure. The Bears will be in the area. They will be in Oxford, a little bit a ways. And Cal, of course, with a rival down the road in Stanford, had one of the great plays in all time in the history of college football. Here is what it sounded like.
Probably try to swim it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rodgers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's looking over to the end zone. He's looking to the end zone. Will it count? The Bears have scored. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. Wait and see what happens. We don't know who won the game. Everybody's milling around on the field. The Bears have won. The Bears have won. Oh my God. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heartrending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
That was 1982.
John Elway's last game at Stanford.
The author of that call
Joe.
is Joe Starkey, who joins us now. Welcome to the show. The first thing, I'm a long-time play guy myself, is I'm always amazed that even on the special teams, you knew every one of those guys, and you could see them. Holy cow!
Well, one of the things that was toughest about it is Cal didn't have lights. in that era. And so it really got weird because it was getting dark. It was after 4 o'clock in late November, and so you had an issue of brightness, of trying to figure out who everybody was. Then you had the issue of it got so crowded on the field, it was who's who.
Right.
I mean, players were actually literally being blocked out of vision by myself and my color guy, Jan Hutchins, that we were almost guessing at who they were because there were band members in the way. It was beyond strange, you know?
That's a really good description. You said it really got weird that day. Joe, how many times have you heard that call since that day?
Yeah, it was fun to be part of and be part of history, no doubt about that. And I have no doubt that that's the first words on my tombstone.
Yeah. I mean,
what does the man people should need to know? Joe is still the voice of Cal. That was in 82. I don't know when you started with Cal, but you were also doing the San Francisco 49ers. But you're, and I don't know if you like this or don't like this, but you're going to be remembered despite all that longevity and all the classic games that you may have called. That is the one you will forever be remembered.
That's it.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. I mean, I did 22 years with the 49ers. I broadcast 3 Super Bowls, and there were a couple of plays there that certainly will live on that I was great to be a part of. But I know that this thing is so unique that that's the one.
And Joe, when Ole Miss, when we came out there 2 years ago, we got to the stadium as all the radio crew. We get there so early, and I wanted to go down to that end zone at that legendary stadium and stand right there. I said, "This is where history was made, guys. This is it."
Yeah, why not? And it does seem to live forever. I mean, I noticed that I don't know why, but it's being revived this fall more than it has in quite a while, and it's not even sort of a year where you like it's 10 years later or 25 years later. It's kind of an odd time since it was 1982, but Sports Illustrated is doing it. ESPN has made it part of their 150 years of college football history, and a couple other groups right now. So whatever it is, maybe they're out of material, but I'm getting a lot of coverage on it right now.
I got to tell you, I feel bad for Ron Barr because Ron Barr was the Stanford guy. Nobody's ever heard his call of that game.
Yeah, that's the tough spot. I mean, let's face it, I was incredibly lucky that I happened to be the guy broadcasting for the team that did it, not the team that didn't do it. In fact, there was a television broadcast where they made a terrible mistake, and that's why I never mentioned the name, is that they assumed from the beginning that it wouldn't count. And whether I've been in the NFL or doing hockey or whatever sport it is, I think the number one rule, guys, and I'm sure you believe this too, is never stop the call.
Right.
Make the call, and you can always say, well, it doesn't count or that doesn't work, but don't ever just say, whoops, doesn't mean a thing, don't worry about it. You can't do that.
And Joe Starkey, you were the announcer. Were you part of the Oakland Invader announce team when the Invaders and Bobby Hebert came here for a playoff game against the Showboats?
Oh, yeah. And in fact, this will be my first time back ever to go back into Memphis because of that. That's the last time I was there.
Wow.
And I love Bobby. He was a great guy. It was, and I don't know if he's still on the air in New Orleans, but for a long time, he and I would keep in touch.
Well, so we were all in that press box that day when Oakland played the Showboats.
In 85. I was out in the stands, but
that's wild.
You were were you sideline guy then for the Showboats?
I did the sidelines with Paul, but then I would go up and produce.
I got you.
So I was in the press box.
And that was a pretty classic game that day.
That was.
Bobby Hebert.
That was a great time. That league was fantastic.
Joe, this last summer at SEC Media Days, our spot on Radio Row was by the Baton Rouge guys. And T-Bob Hebert, Bobby Hebert's son, is a personality in Baton Rouge, and I was telling him what a great atmosphere and game that day between Oakland and Memphis it was in the USFL.
Well, as you may or may not know, the very last game ever played in the USFL, I'm sure you know this, was in the Meadowlands, and it looked like the Invaders would win it against the Philadelphia Stars, but what happened was a running back committed a penalty. Unnecessary roughness, reacted poorly to a play at the very last second. And so the Invaders, instead of being first and goal at the 1, never scored, and that was the last game ever played in that league. So I've closed down several leagues. I did the last broadcast of the USFL, the last broadcast of the World League, and so and I put the California Steelers hockey team out of business. So I've got a great record.
Wow, the World League, was that the one? The Memphis Grizzlies were in that. with Zonka kicking
That was
Warfield?
at that time that was
That's the WFL.
There were only two North American teams, and that was the one that most of the teams were in Europe. So it was a great job.
Wow.
Great job to have.
I'll bet.
So, Joe, your first trip back south on Saturday with this Cal Bear team, they're ranked 23rd. Very impressive team. Got my attention in August when Kirk Herbstreit in preseason predictions said the Cal secondary would be the number one secondary in college football. So far, Kirk Herbstreit's been proven right by the Cal Bear secondary.
Yeah, I think that without a doubt, if the Bears are going to be successful this year, the defense is going to lead it because they've had it's a weird change of situation here the last couple of years because it was just a few years ago that you couldn't you had to win by outscoring the opposition. The Bears would put up enormous amount of points. Sonny Dykes was the head coach and had this wide open offense, and of course they had a pretty good quarterback who ended up with the Rams, Jared Goff, and so they'd pile up the points. But they actually had one game, for example, they won 52-49. I mean, that's the kind of games they were playing. But now you got a coach, Wilcox, who comes in. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's developed this incredible defense. But right now, there are a lot of issues with the offense. They're not very deep.
They are ranked 23rd. Are they worthy of that ranking?
I have to, if I'm saying it honestly, I think I just don't know right now. I think the quarterback has got to get better, and the receiving core has got to produce if we're going to live up to that ranking. I think that it's still a work in progress, and I think if they were to, for example, if they were to beat Ole Miss and then come back and beat Arizona State, then I think everybody will take them seriously. But right now, Cal has a long history of winning early because of the schedule, and then once they get into the trouble of the Pac-10, Pac-12 as it is now, things start to slip away. So I think it's too early to say that they are a top 20 team.
Through the years, what was your first year calling Cal football, Joe?
1975, we had a guy who was a pretty good running back named Chuck Muncie and a quarterback who sadly is legendary for the wrong reasons. That was Joe Roth, who died after the 76 season at age 22.
You have called the quarterbacks. Rich Campbell was a good quarterback. Gail Gilbert. Aaron Rodgers, you mentioned Jared Goff, Kyle Bowler. My goodness, you've seen the quarterback play.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has to be the number one, wouldn't he?
I would think Aaron Rodgers is the best Cal quarterback I've ever seen because he could do so many different things. And as we mentioned, I was involved with the 49ers in all those years, and I did everything but padlock the building and try to convince them to draft him and not draft who they did, Alex Smith. I said, this guy will be a winner. There's no question in my mind. And, of course, they went the other way and really led to a lot of very dry years for the 49ers.
Were you around for the Bill Walsh years?
Yes. One of the great thrills of my life was to be there and be the guy who did the weekly interview with him for the pregame shows. And and at that point, I was the sideline broadcaster his last couple of years. Well, I spent a lot of time with him and admired him as not only as a coach but as a person. I thought the guy was a special person.
I've told this story before. 1981, I'm covering for the ABC then affiliated station here. My first Super Bowl. It's in Detroit, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and they weren't as crazy about mass press conferences. So I actually had some time one-on-one with Bill Walsh. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen because he would take these incredibly tough concepts and yet make them understandable to you and took the time, was such a classy gentleman, took the time to explain everything to you, then shoot the interview. I mean, he what normally you would take 2 minutes now, he must have spent 12, 13 minutes with me.
And
that's unheard of.
Very decent human being.
Oh, just the nicest guy in the world.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody who would ever say anything different about him. In fact, just an aside about Bill Walsh, I thought was one of the most amazing moments ever. After he'd retired, the Northern California NFL alumni had a golf tournament and honored him. And this was like maybe 5 years after he'd left. And he got up and talked. And the speech was one of the most phenomenal ever. I actually have a copy of it because he was almost in tears because he was talking to players and he said, "You need to know this." He said, I loved you all very much. It broke my heart to have to cut a player. He said, you have no idea how tough it was. It was the toughest thing I did in this business was to have cut you because I knew that if I was going to keep winning, it had to be done, but it was never easy.
Wow. Unbelievable career that you've had. Joe, a texter wants to know, were you on the 49er broadcast team for the catch, Dwight Clark's catch against the Cowboys?
No, I did not. That was Don Klein, who had the job from 81 through 87. And Don, by the way, just passed away a short time ago. In fact, we had a very weird coincidence out here. Dan Fouts' dad was the broadcaster before Don Klein, and both Mr. Fouts and Don died within 3 days of each other just a few months ago. So a great history of 49er broadcasters out here, and it was really interesting because at one time, Bob Fouts and his son Dan would alternate doing the nightly sports on one of the local stations.
Huh.
After Dan retired.
That's a great story. Hey, Dan's still doing some analysis, isn't he?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes.
You make a small world. Dan Fouts was the quarterback. The long snapper on his team was a guy named Bob Rush, and Bob Rush was the analyst for the University of Memphis football broadcast on radio, many with me, for over 20, I think it was 25 years.
Right.
So both the center and the quarterback ended up with a career in broadcasting.
Joe, I know y'all are leaving a day early. We did the same when we came out there. What's the Cal travel plans? You're flying San Francisco, Oakland to Memphis?
Actually, they use the charter, and they fly out of Oakland, and so we'll get in Thursday late afternoon, and they're staying at, I forget where it is, but it's neither in Memphis nor in Oxford. It's some hotel
Tupelo?
in the middle somewhere.
Probably Tupelo.
And then I know they're going to practice on Friday at a local high school.
How good is the Pac-12? Washington, I thought, was really going to be a good team. They faltered. Washington State is interesting because of Mike Leach. I know you've been in years where that league has been great. When USC was a stalwart of a program, that doesn't seem to be the case in this day and age. Has that league slipped a bunch over these last few years?
I think it's in serious trouble, and I think a lot of it goes back to the absolutely ridiculous television contract that they signed. I think it has really hurt the league to an enormous amount because of the deal. For example, in my own house, I have DirecTV. I can't watch the Pac-12 network because DirecTV won't carry it. Also, because of that, you get all these blackout games if you have DirecTV and some other of the services. And also, they are now horrible game times. They got games constantly. For example, even in Seattle, I don't know if you guys saw the story or not, but the game didn't even start till 11 o'clock East Coast time. And then we had a lightning and rain delay.
Yeah.
And so the game actually finished at somewhere around 4 a.m. East Coast time. So they're losing all that audience by constantly playing night games. So I think it's having a marked impact on recruiting because the young men that you want to appeal to who might be interested in the West Coast don't even see the teams play very much anymore, and I think that's a disaster.
Wow. So this goes back to their deal with Fox, basically.
Yeah. They've got they signed a deal that involved putting some games on the Fox network, some games on a couple of the other type networks, and then, of course, their own network as well. And so I think that has backfired on them. They're making some money, but I'm not sure it's worth it.
Joe, in this part of the world, Alabama, if they're good, that helps the image and profile of the SEC, and they've been good for about 10 years now. We know the storied history of SC. After Southern Cal, who's the second team that for the Pac-12 to have that great national image, this team needs to be good? Who's second behind Southern Cal?
I think that this year it's probably Oregon. The Ducks have had a good, strong run now, running for maybe really over 30, 35 years, and have consistently been winners. They have gotten to the Final Four in recent years. So I think right now it is probably Oregon, maybe the strongest team in the conference. Stanford has slipped a little bit that I didn't expect. I don't think anybody saw it coming that they would already have 2 losses on the year. And I think, frankly, even I think Cal fans were amazed that they could beat the Huskies in Seattle. So Washington has a great national reputation. Obviously, USC, Oregon is up there. And another disappointment, of course, is UCLA seems to have hit bottom. Nobody can quite figure out what's going on there.
Well, since you mentioned that, you mentioned Oregon and being important, and Chip Kelly was incredible at Oregon, and he has not done the same thing at UCLA, and of course it didn't work out at two stops in the NFL. What's happened with UCLA and Chip Kelly?
Well, there are probably other things involved. I do believe that part of the problem in UCLA, if you want to call it a problem, is that they, like Cal, they've come up. Cal has always had a problem because of the academic issue. They don't give a lot of variances to students who don't really belong at a school that's rated in the top 5 in America of public universities.
Right.
And so there's a lot of young players who probably, if they got in, would do fine. We've had a lot of players who have come through that you thought, well, this guy's going to really struggle getting through the academics, and they don't. But that is a real issue at UCLA and at Cal because of leadership that says at the top, we're not going to give you any waivers. This is the way it is. It's in black and white, and that's that. And so I think that has hurt their recruiting, and I think it's cut into the quality of player they've got. And again, they're not turning down dummies. They're turning down people who probably could do it, but the rules are so rigid that it's been very difficult.
Joe, it has just been a delight for us to visit with you. I unfortunately will not be in Oxford, but I know you'll see Brett, and we can't thank you enough for being on with us today.
Delight to do it. Looking forward to the trip, and from what I hear, it's a little warm and humid.
It is.
It's sticky.
Hot as the Dickens.
Very juicy, Joe.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Joe Starkey.
So very
Voice of Cal, and of course he was doing the Niners and Cal at the same time for 22 years.
And it's hard to believe that when I go to Auburn in November, I won't see Rod Bramlett. Those two calls, that kick six by Rod and that call by Joe, and just like Bo and Herschel, I'm not going to get in a big dust up on which one's better. Let's just enjoy it all, especially in this 150th year of college football. This hour brought to you every day by our title and presenting sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales, where they have the highest standards in the car industry. All the cars test-driven, checked out, head-to-toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if they don't have it at DeSoto Auto Sales, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts at all. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back, down-home atmosphere. They do care about your time and want you to have the ultimate car experience, and that begins with your sales rep, and then the paperwork, pick out your car, credit approved, test drive, you're gone, all in about 45 minutes. We're living in a world today that time matters. They know that at DeSoto Auto Sales. Check out the referrals online at DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184 for that town and country experience. Get down to DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, DeSoto Auto Sales.
Cardinals were winners today in a little bit here. We're going to take a break and then head to St. Louis to talk with our friend Chris Raby.
Dexter Fowler with play of the year.
Well, I got to tell you, that's part of the reason the turnaround that the Cardinals have had defensively, from worst to first. That doesn't happen. And they've done it. And Bader's made some unbelievable plays in this stretch since the All-Star break. And Wong and Fowler today, where they're going crazy. They won 5-1. But, man, if George were here, he'd be saying they'll never lose another game.
I think he'd be right. George was always right, wasn't he?
Oh, he thought so.
Yeah.
That is for
Wasn't
sure.
it fun visiting with Joe Starkey? What a nice man.
Well, you think about 3 Super Bowls you do, and you work with the great Bill Walsh and the great players that he had, Joe Montana. We didn't even ask him about Joe Montana. And so he's a guy who's done games on a regular basis with Joe Montana and Aaron Rodgers.
And Steve Young.
And Steve Young.
And Jared Goff, who I compared to Joe Montana last football season, Dave.
You still sticking with that?
I don't know.
I don't think you should.
I
don't think you should, for sure.
He's good. And I love the story about him begging the 49ers draft Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and they took Alex Smith. That was, in retrospect, a major major error.
And I went to a Utah practice here that year. Alex Smith was here with the Utah team for the Autos on Liberty Bowl. And I was with Tommy West, and he was swept away with Alex Smith and him in practice and kind of that workout he did that day over at the Kennedy Complex. It didn't work out for him in the pros, though.
Nope.
He wasn't a bust, but he wasn't great. Not even close.
No.
But he's not a bust.
And he's not like, let's say, I hate to say this, but Paxton Lynch.
Or Jamarcus Russell being a number one draft pick.
Number one, for sure. But you know what? What was Paxton? He was 26. 26 in his first round.
Yeah, you get fired.
So the thing is,
you get fired over a number one bust. You don't get fired over 26 not working.
No, you don't get fired. But the thing is, when you're 26, you're a first round pick. You get plenty of the benefit of the doubt. And now two teams didn't think he could cut.
Maybe he'll make it work.
I hope he works. I hope it does. I hope Randy Fiechner can bring out the best in Paxton Lynch. This portion of the show brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. That's Matt Eflin. 20 years of insurance experience, all in this market. He graduated from the U of M. Huge fan, by the way. Huge. Graduated, went right to work because he's young. And I just can't believe that 20 years have passed, and here he is helping people throughout this market. He's got a very unique approach. It's one-on-one. He evaluates each individual's insurance needs. This is why it works so well. He specializes in all types of insurance needs, and we're talking personal or business. So we'll sit you in, talk about your business, if that's where you're at, what you want out of it, what you think is the most important to protect. Same thing with personal. He gets to know you. He then figures out all the different insurance options you have. Then there's a collaboration as he chats with you, and voila, you walk out protected. Isn't that the key? You want to walk out feeling really good that you know you are taking care of you, your family, or your business. The number for that quote and personalized service is 757-2315. 757-2315. Tell them we sent you. That's Matt Eflin and the Eflin Insurance Group. To St. Louis, we will go. I wonder if it's as hot there as it is here. Chris Raby from KMOX is next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
This is John Conway with Conway Services. School's back in. Are the kids going to be running out of hot water every morning? Or worse, are you going to be out of hot water by the time they leave? It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. At Conway Services, we're making now the perfect time to replace that old energy-guzzling tank water heater with a new tankless water heater with 24 months to pay, interest-free. Or I'll give you $250 for that old tank water heater. These energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. See why I say now's the perfect time? Call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
The Vergas family, legendary Memphis restaurateur, starting with Mr. Charlie and continuing today with his grandchildren.
Brett, it just dawned on me the other day that while Memphis is celebrating its bicentennial, the Rendezvous has been here well over one-third of Memphis's existence. Someone asked me if we remember the day the Rendezvous started, and I tell them no, because if we thought it was going to last this long, we'd have kept much better records. But we're not a place to rest on our laurels or reputation. We're always trying to add new things to make our customers' experience more enjoyable. Friday lunches have always been special because we give away our red beans and rice. We are now adding a sausage sandwich. It's the same sausage we serve on our cheese and sausage plate, but it will be served lengthwise on the bun with beans and slaw on the side. We've also partnered with a company called Devillet out of Dyersburg to introduce a new sweet glazed mustard with Rendezvous seasoning in it. It will really go great with a sandwich. I still recommend adding slaw. My grandfather had a hot dog stand on Beale Street in 1916, and we've come full circle using his slaw on our hot dogs. Hope to see you this Friday at the Rendezvous.
In the alley in downtown Memphis.
Get your gun, Nelly, and saddle up Penelope. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Buick GMC. Old-time trading prices on over 700 new Buicks and GMC trucks, and the Sunrise Used Car Corral has over 500 in stock. Ranch managers have been told to cut prices to the bone, and remember, you can bring your car to Sunrise Service no matter where you bought it. If you're a good person with bad credit, SunriseMemphis.com will help you put one of your brand on these little fillies. Free hot dogs and Cokes at the Chuck Wagon. Western Trading Days going on now at all 3 Sunrise locations. We make it fun to buy a car again.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Ben Swinger Glass in Midtown, located at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
His wife's words echoed in his mind.
You never fix anything around here.
Well, today that would change. He would fix the water heater. He'd show her that he was the handyman of this house. He was more than capable. Oh, no. Covered it. August 14th, 2008. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at MemphisFarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Halfway through our final hour on this Wednesday. Man, that was a lot of fun talking to Joe Starkey. That is truly one of the classic calls of all time.
He goes crazy 3 times. Rod just went nuts once in the kick 6.
Well, and he's talking about so many different guys and the laterals and knowing special teams numbers, and he was telling us it was in the dark. I mean, incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Cardinals are almost as hot as the weather outside, aren't they?
They don't seem to want to lose. That is for sure. Chris Raby from KMOX was on hand today when I guess there was a great defensive play in this game today. 5 more runs, good pitching. The Cardinals may never lose another game.
Well, not what Brett Norsworthy thought on Sunday afternoon.
What's that clown know, Chris?
Hit a grand slam. You know, it's crazy, and I think that we've seen it now a couple of different times in the Central over the last few weeks. We've seen the Brewers deal with adversity and deal with just a devastating injury to Christian Yelich and go on and end up winning 7 of their last 8 since the Yelich injury. The Cubs have dealt with a couple of brutal injuries, Javier Baez, Craig Kimbrell, now Anthony Rizzo. And well, the Cardinals have stayed, knock on wood if you're a Cardinal fan, remarkably healthy recently. They've dealt with a couple of brutal losses. They dealt with, falling a few games back after getting swept in California last month. They dealt with, that gut punch loss on Sunday. They dealt with another really, really bad loss last night where they just looked flat. They made mistakes. They had no offense. Then had to come back and face Max Scherzer today. So I've been impressed with the resiliency of everyone, and, especially the Cardinals. Just, I think today, their recipe, putting it together when it's looked its best this year, maybe the cleanest, crispest all-around game of the year, with pitching, with defense, with good base running, with timely offense. It was impressive. Fun afternoon.
Chris, I let my fandom come through Sunday and even resorted
it won't be the last time.
Even resorted to name calling on Sunday, didn't I? I did completely lose it. And I said on Monday, I thought it was the worst New Busch Stadium loss in the history of New Busch Stadium, including World Series losses.
And it was one of those where you came back, you put yourself in position, you felt like you could almost just squeeze the life out of the Brewers, and then I'm not sure anyone really knew what was going on with Carlos Martinez. It turns out that maybe it was a lot more serious than anyone thought. You needed to make some decisions in the 6th and 7th and 8th innings just to keep the game where it was. And then a couple of guys, and one guy in particular, and John Gant, who has delivered time and time again, just was not good and has not been good a couple of consecutive appearances now, but really was just a dud. And I think that, the fact, too, that it was Ryan Braun and it was the Brewers added a little more salt to the wound. But, they were able to respond, and they were able to respond against a really, really desperate Nationals team that had its three best guys lined up to throw. And I think that's encouraging, the way that they played over these last three.
You beat Scherzer and Strasburg. There's not many teams that could say they did that in the same series, and that is pretty impressive. Going back to these injuries, and the Cubs have lost so much now. Watching Baez in the dugout the other night with that big thumb wrap on there is just sad to see. But I've never seen, and I've watched a lot of baseball, and I know you have too, over these years, I have never seen a deflected foul ball off a bat break a kneecap. That's impossible.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. And they've played really well since then. I don't know.
I know.
If it'll last or what, but some of it's probably they're taking advantage now of getting to the soft part of their schedule that the Cardinals took advantage of earlier this year. And, you give them credit. Josh Hader, I think, is becoming Josh Hader again, which I know he gave up the home run on Sunday, and the Cardinals closed the gap to 1 run, but he's been really good now over the last few weeks. And their pitching's getting healthy. Really, for the first time in a long time, Milwaukee's pitching is getting a bit healthier. So that's been a huge asset as well. But yeah, brutal injury, brutal for them, brutal, I think, for baseball fans that were hoping that wouldn't derail the last intriguing race, both the division and the wild card in the Central and the NL. And it certainly hasn't. It's been anything but. And they're gonna have every opportunity to keep winning. As I know people have pointed out, well, the Cubs and Cardinals now have to deal with each other, and it could line up well for Milwaukee to potentially make a run.
We got this question on the First Bank text line a while ago, but you might have the answer for us. What would happen if the Brewers, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the Cardinals all ended the season with identical records?
Ooh, if they all end with identical records. Okay, so if that happens, I know that means the Cubs, Cardinals, and Brewers would all be playing for the division title, and they would each get a designation based on, I believe, head-to-head records.
Wow.
Like each team's combined winning percentage against the other two teams. So, like, the Cardinals combined winning percentage against the Cubs and the Brewers, the Cubs against the Cardinals and Brewers, Brewers against the Cardinals and Cubs. You got me?
Yeah.
So, after that, I believe there are three scenarios, and starting with the team with the best winning percentage, you then get to choose your scenario. And I'd have to look it up, but I believe out of the three scenarios, it's like ABC, scenario A, Club A hosts Club B on the first day, and then the winner of that game hosts Club C the next day, and the winner of that game wins the division. And I believe that the reason they do it that way is because you could think that the first pick in the draft, the Cardinals, for instance, had the best winning percentage against everyone else. You automatically want to be Club C and not have to play till the second day. Well, then you're the road team. So maybe you'd want to pick A and try to win 2 games at home. But I'm pretty sure that's the scenario. And then the two teams that are not the division winner would then go into a similar tiebreaker for the wild card with the Nationals. But there would be 2 wild card spots.
So the Nationals, right?
Are a little different.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. I understand the Nationals are not part of the divisional thing.
Yeah, so if you're the Cardinals, Cubs, and Brewers, you would essentially get, 3 cracks at 3 playoffs.
3 spots.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chris, that's a hell of an answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. I hope it's not completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the 3 teams, you say who has the best record against the other 2 in your division combined, and then they have like a draft of the three scenarios. And it's like, yeah, Team A plays Team B in Team A's city, game one, and then the winner of that game plays Team C in the first city originally. So there could be a scenario, I guess, where you could have like the Brewers and Cardinals playing at Wrigley Field in Chicago for the division, which would be hilarious.
Man.
I think that's right.
But then you have to have another set of a game or two between.
Oh yeah, there could be a bunch of it. And then you do the wild,
Nationals, right?
Yeah, then you do the wild card after that. Yep.
So does that then delay the entire divisional series?
No, because they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. I believe this year it's either Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday. But the season ends on Sunday, and then I think both NLDSs are scheduled to start on Thursday. Wild card games are supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, so I guess that could change things.
Yeah, that would definitely change things. Man, I actually that might be fun. I'd almost be.
Oh my gosh, it would be incredible. So again, I think that's pretty much right, but someone might be Googling it right now and tell me that I'm completely wrong.
13th win today for Adam Wainwright, and you talk about that total team performance from the hitting to the defense to that pitching by Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, Brett, and he's getting better as the year goes on. Already, he's matched the innings and the starts from his last 2 years combined. This year, he's won 13 games, a 3.83 ERA. He's gone 6 or more innings in 15 of his 29 starts, which is pretty impressive. At Busch, a 2.08 ERA. He's gone 6 or more in 10 of 15. He's in the second half, 8-2, a 3.25 ERA, 6 or more in 7 of 13 starts. And since September the 1st, 4 starts, 27 innings, 1 run. He's 4-0. He's gone 7 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. And
nobody would have seen this at the beginning of the year. Nobody.
Yeah. And, I think it's 2 main things. I think he's probably healthy for the first time in a while. And maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise that since he is back now, he had to miss some time the last couple of years, and maybe his arm actually got healthy finally. And I think that he's reinvented himself and embraced it. I think that once you have, or whenever you have, one dominant pitch, one wipeout pitch, and then obviously the skills that he has and the experience in the brains, that can go a long way. And he was trying to make it work the last couple of years while he was, I think, pretty physically compromised. He told me at spring training, and I may have told you guys this, that, he was at one point last year like a week away from retiring. And then all of a sudden he could play catch, and then he could play catch 2 days in a row, and then he could play 3 days in a row. And he doesn't know really what happened or why it happened, but something happened. And, we've seen that this year. It hasn't always been perfect, but certainly at home and certainly over the last couple of months, he's been as reliable and as consistent as just about anyone. And, perfect example of that today was with a couple of outs in the 7th. Mike Schilt goes out. Wainwright and Yadier Molina, are able to convince Schilt that they can get Adam Eaton, and they do. So it's been fun to watch. I don't know where they'd be without him. They'd be in big, big trouble. And who knows? Maybe they'll even at some point start discussing if, or maybe he's already discussing with his family if he wants to try to continue pitching after this year.
Starting tomorrow night, 4 on the north side against the Cubbies. I say, ideally, split 2-2. I think I could even live with 1 out of the 4, go 1-3 there, and that would make it a flat foot tie on Monday morning with a week to go.
I think if you said to the Cubs right now, you get 3 out of 4, we take that deal.
I think so. But I think I could live with that, Chris. What's the Cardinal perspective?
Oh, you think the Cubs would take taking 3 or 4 from a team that's in front of them?
Yeah.
That would get us to within 1. Are you kidding me?
That'd be flat foot tie Monday morning.
Yeah, no doubt.
If they win tonight.
If they win tonight.
I'd be surprised if either team wins 3 or 4. I really would. But you never know. Weird things happen up there. I think that the thing the Cardinals just have going for them, again, is that they're healthy. And I truly believe that the way that they're pitching, the way they're playing defense right now, that's an advantage over the Cubs. I think even Anthony Rizzo, his absence defensively over the next week plus could make a big difference at some point, whether it's in one game or if it's in an inning or if it's in a series. And I just think the Cardinals are playing with a confidence and a swagger. Not to say the Cubs don't have it, but, the Cardinals have been winning this way for the last 6 weeks. And, it lines up that you've got Jack Flaherty tomorrow, which could even give the bullpen a little extra rest if he can go deep tomorrow. And, I think you feel pretty good about the way things line up. Right. Again, it wouldn't shock me if the Cubs won 3 or 4, or if the Cubs swept, or I guess the Cardinals swept. It wouldn't shock me just because of the way this rivalry is, the way it goes. But,
drawing first blood is big tomorrow night.
Yeah. And, hell, I'm sure the Brewers are rooting for 3 or 4. Or the Brewers are rooting for a sweep, because that means they're gaining a bunch of ground on at least someone if they win.
That's right. No question. I don't know 3 or 4. That would be something. But I agree with you. I think especially when it comes down the stretch, the hot team usually wins. The Cardinals are about as hot as could be. And when you're looking at the dugout and you see Baez and Rizzo both on the bench, that does not help. That is for sure. Chris, as always,
thank you, Chris.
We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
And pay no attention to that idiot that sends you texts after losses. Okay?
No, it's all right. It's what makes this so fun. It should be a heck of a weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks.
You got it. Thank you, Chris.
Chris Rady from KMOX, the Cardinal Network.
A little breaking news. Taylor Eldridge, that covers, is beat writer for Wichita State for the Wichita Eagle, just retweeted by Jason Munns at Commercial Appeal, says dates and times for the AAC men's basketball games are coming Friday, he says. He tweets. Also, this tweet, the Colts have waived backup quarterback Chad Kelly. He was coming off a 2-game suspension.
They waived him.
Field Yates.
So he never even got a chance back on the field. Wow.
Jacoby Brissett's looked pretty good, too.
He has. He absolutely has. This portion of the show brought to you by James Davis Men's Store. In the Laurelwood Shopping Center, it's hot outside, and they've got something to match the fall heat. They really do. It's the newest fall selections, like the 5-pocket pants, in every fabric and in every fit. It's out of control. They got denim, and they got cotton twill, and brushed cotton, and wrinkle-free travel wool. And every one of those comes with that two-way stretch, that moves with you no matter what you're doing. So comfortable. And the brand new custom shirt fabrics for the fall are in when it comes to my favorite all-time shirt, the Stance. You've heard me talk about it. You probably hear me tired of me harping on it, but it's the truth. Stance, 3 measurements, 9 days, start at $98. Truly the perfect fit. This algorithm they use, everything is perfect on your body for $98. And if you're tired of being like the worst dressed guy at the tailgate party, James Davis now has the perfect fit, custom, made to measure. Showstopper cut. It starts at $695. Oh, by the way, those Paul Batenley suits that I love so much, still the same deal. It's got that stretch fabric too. 2 incredible suits, $795. Always incredible service, the best of people. You walk through the door, you know the difference. You're in the right place when you walk into James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. We put a wrap on this Wednesday edition in just 1 minute. This is Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Stop. Pick up your golf clubs. Head to my favorite place, Vantage Point Golf Center, 9580 Macon Road in Cordova. Open 7 days a week. Vantage Point Golf Center. They got it all. Top Tracer powered by Top Golf. Track your shots like the pros. You know exactly where you hit the ball. Have a beer, eat a sandwich, and relax. Over 50 grass spots and fully lit for nighttime. There are 18 holes of mini golf. It's fun for the whole family. Visit Vantage Point Golf Center. They've got it all. 1 mile west of Houston Levee.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens, and they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Your trusted source for pool supplies and end-of-season pool closings is Mario's Pool Supplies in Germantown, Tennessee. As the pool season crawls to an end, let Mario close your pool for the winter and secure it with a new safety cover to protect your children and pets over the winter. The 2019 People's Choice Award winner for pool supplies and service, Mario's Pool Supplies, 1986 Exeter Road in Germantown, Tennessee, is your one-stop shop for everything pools. Call 901-552-3399 or stop in and talk to Mario today.
Starlight Lounge presents an evening with the Progressive Box.
I took a bit of a risk singing that song, but of course the one place I never take chances is the road, where Progressive Snapshot rewards your safe driving. A good driver plus Snapshot equals big discounts. And speaking of math, 1 + 1 = 2, little too late.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
When you're well-dressed, people say,
Nice suit.
When you're best dressed, they say,
Nice suit.
The JCPenney Men's Best Dressed event ends this week. Don't miss 50% off men's select suit separates, sport coats, and dress pants from Collection by Michael Strahan, Stafford, and JFJ Farrar. And for big and tall guys, shop Shaquille O'Neal XLG and more. Plus, get an extra $10 off your $25 purchase with coupon. JCPenney. Offers valid 9/19 to 9/22. Exclusions apply. See store at jcp.com for details.
Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion of the sports. We may have set a record today, at least for September. It's at least 99. Somebody texted us 100. My wife texted me 99. She's never wrong. Just ask her; she'll tell you.
The phone said 99.
Phone said 99? Phone's probably right. So that makes her right. I should let everybody know this final portion is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. That's right down Lamar. You get to State Line Road, it becomes Highway 78, and then you just go to the first exit. That's Craft Road, turn left, you're right there. And what you'll find is assurance. You'll find the best marriage, I think, of technology and service. And the assurance is a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car in the place. That could be the Genesis cars, the G70s, more and more being written about how good those are, more and more products coming, and they're going to make Homer Skelton one of the big dealers of Genesis cars. Or it could be my incredible Santa Fe, which is, I'm just telling you, with all the technology and everything, the best car I've ever had, period. And I've had luxury cars, period. I love the Santa Fe. And you get back so beautifully with it. Just go see. This is the way car business should be done. Get to Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. Time for Crunch Time.
This is Geraldo. It is Crunch Time. You are looking live. It's Crunch Time. In your life have you seen anything like that?
We'll take questions again for the student athlete.
Tortilla chips, topped with a...
It's obviously Crunch Time.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave, I learned today worst winning percentage against top 5 teams since 2000 with a minimum of 10 games is this. Wake Forest 0-16, Vandy 0-15, Indiana 0-13, Boston College 1-17, and Notre Dame 1-17.
Wow.
0-4 under Brian Kelly. What'd you learn today?
I learned this is a great story. I don't know if you saw, there was a beer sign at game day. And it was this kid who was just trying to be funny. He couldn't even get near the main stage. He went to the auxiliary thinking he would see Maria Taylor, right? And it's a sign, help fill us, refill our beer, whatever it was. And gave this site with the Bitcoin or whatever the coin.
It's Venmo. It's
Venmo.
Where you can transfer money from one person to another. It's like PayPal, but it's cooler because that's what the young people use.
Well, it's really cool what happened. So people loved it so much, they started giving him money. And at first it was $400 or something like that. And he goes, well, you know what? I'll take a bunch of guys out to dinner and we'll have some beer too. And then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he calls those folks up and he goes, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do this for charity. So he sets out a tweet. This is going to go, that hospital they have that's right on the University of Iowa thing. He goes, this is going to go to that. Anybody want to match it?
Way to go.
You know how much they raised? $36,000 from a sign at game day.
You know David Basham went to high school with Maria Taylor?
No, I didn't know that.
Sure did.
Wow.
Also,
who was the better athlete?
Probably Maria Taylor. And Bash was
David
good.
Bash, good athlete, yeah.
Could have done without this today. Hearing the Whitey Herzog health news, it's better than it was yesterday. But get well soon, White Rat. One of the highlights of being at the PGA last year in St. Louis at Belle Reve on Wednesday, they had the who's who of living St. Louis sports stars and sports figures, and Whitey Herzog was there. We had him on. It was terrific. It was at his charity golf tournament that he fell ill, and this was going to be the last year of it. And for Whitey Herzog, Hall of Famer, get well soon. What is it you could do with that?
I don't get it. Why did the Saints not name a starter today? They could have named Teddy Bridgewater. I always thought when Bridgewater came there, he was the heir apparent. That's the way it was going to be. Apparently he didn't play well enough for Sean Payton because he's not naming starters. It's either going to be Bridgewater or Taysom Hill. And I really thought Bridgewater was going to be the answer. I might have been wrong about all of that.
Yeah, I just, especially after he got hurt in Minnesota, I just don't know if he's that good. I'm keeping a close eye tonight. Night 2 of Yaz's grandson at Fenway Park last night was terrific. First home run there by Yaz since July 31st, 1983. Brew Crew trying to continue their September roll. 2 years in a row they've done this. They only face losing teams the rest of the way, while the Cardinals and the Cubs will start duking it out tomorrow night on the north side at Wrigley. Wild card battle in L.A. at Dodger Stadium for American League team Tampa Bay. And a lot of the Dodgers front office people all came from Tampa. They know each other well. John Lester in a big one tonight at Wrigley for the Reds. Cardinals already posted that win. The Reds know they have to match to set up the big battle over the next 4 days at Wrigley, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What are you watching tonight?
I'm really watching the Cubs. If I can figure out how to watch them, then my son's got this way to do it.
He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. I got to watch that and hope that our aging John Lester can figure out a way to be good there.
I bet he knows the whole Venmo thing.
You're not going to watch the Shinhan Donage Open Golf Tournament in the Asian Tour?
I'm not.
It's on at 9 today.
I'm not.
Yeah, just checking.
I'll put my golf shoes back on about President's Cup time.
Just checking. TJ Reeves, got to thank him. Patrick Garvin. It was really a pleasure talking with Joe Starkey. That really made my week. I enjoyed the heck out of that. The voice of Cal, who will be in Oxford on Saturday, and Chris Raby. Tomorrow, big show. It starts with Bill Bender from the Sporting News. Bob Carpenter, voice of the Washington Nationals, will join us. Russell Copeland on the NFL. Greg Gaston on the Tigers, and Tim Doolin on more baseball. That'll do it for us, for Drew, and for Brett. I'm Wolo. We'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Get your gun, Nellie, and saddle up Penelope. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Buick GMC. Old-time trading prices on over 700 new Buicks and GMC trucks, and the Sunrise Used Car Corral has over 500 in stock. Ranch managers have been told to cut prices to the bone, and remember, you can bring your car to Sunrise Service no matter where you bought it. If you're a good person with bad credit, SunriseMemphis.com will help you put one of your brand on these little fillies. Free hot dogs and Cokes at the Chuck Wagon. Western Trading Days going on now at all 3 Sunrise locations. We make it fun to buy a car again.
One of the things that makes a truly special restaurant special is its selection of bourbons and whiskeys, and 117 Prime is no exception. Try the William LaRue Weller with his high-toned pepper oak tingle at the finish, or the Weller 12-year, or Old Scout, a unit of 2 whiskeys distilled from classic bourbon mash bills, and of course 4 Roses single barrel. Sure, you're going to 117 Prime for a delicious meal, but why not also enjoy a delicious